Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another one of those free and easy editions of the Jim Cornette Experience. Today, we're going to talk about pro wrestling throughout history, why some people wrestle is a mystery, people refusing the Hall of Fame, and a wrestling show that has no shame. And now, to join me in all of that, Hawaiian Brian, the podcasting lion, the king of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network, Mr. Co-host to you. He's a poet and don't know it, but his feet show it because they're long, fellas. The great Brian Last, everybody.
Aloha, Jim, and what a pleasure it is to be here once again. Back on Fridays. It's nice.
Well, now you've just fucking give people a bad impression here right as soon as you open your mouth, because they're not going to hear this till Saturday. We're recording it on Friday, so it's nicer for us, but they're going to hear it on Saturday, just like they have been, maybe a little bit earlier. Depends on what Sharknado gets into.
That's right. Gets into. That's right. What do you mean what it gets into?
Well, whatever is involved. Every once in a while, we get a call from his parole officer. He hadn't made contact, and I just want to make sure that everything's still all right with his schedule. But did you enjoy Canada Day?
Did I enjoy Canada Day?
Did you enjoy Canada Day? I feel you're close enough up there.
I do not celebrate Canada Day, and I believe that's July 1st. I'm not exactly sure, to be honest with you, the specifics of what exactly Canada is. It just a celebration of the country?
Well, I don't know. I'm not from Canada. I thought you'd know because
but you've been banned from there. I thought you would know things about.
Well, that's why they didn't give me the whole goddamn list of all the festivities and things, because I'm not allowed to go to them unless I get that paperwork filled out that they informed me that I could get filled out, and that'll help it happen on the 12th of never. But I thought, I know what they do in Tennessee because we're right next door. So you're up there in the Northeast. You're right there amongst them practically. I remember it wasn't but a hop, skip, and a jump from Stamford, Connecticut to Montreal, Canada. Just a bit up the road.
What a fantastic city.
Yeah, well, fromage.
Probably Canada's best city.
What?
Montreal.
Now, just pump your...
Oh, you could have a good time in Montreal, I'll tell you.
Vancouver. Number one, people are speaking English like folks are supposed to, instead of all those French Canadians. Number two, you can read the road signs without getting a headache. Number three, it's out there on the coast. It's all beautiful. Instead of Montreal is like the New York of Canada. Toronto is like Chicago of Canada.
And New York's the best.
No.
Yes.
New York is the place you want to avoid at all costs.
Well, now you have a point. But traditionally,
now you change your story.
I don't want to go into Manhattan anymore. I'm sick of Manhattan's dead right now. There's nothing I want to do there. There's no business meetings I have to do there anymore. I could do everything remotely, which is beautiful. I kind of don't want to go into Manhattan for a very long time. I've lost it from Manhattan. It's just such a pain in the ass to go into New York anymore.
People have been asking me to work remotely for years now. I think one phrase exactly was as far away as possible as you can get. But I guess I'm always a trendsetter.
Which apparently was Louisville, Kentucky. That's as far away as you can get.
If anybody wants to know where I'll be from now on. And I know everybody's waiting for the wildlife update because we start the program, on a weekly basis with the wildlife update. And unfortunately, I have, no big news. It was wonderful day before yesterday, early in the morning. It was a bit cool. It's been hot during the day, but it was a bit cool very early, like 6:30 or so. And I saw all four baby deer. I shouldn't say babies now. All four of the adolescent deer. They're not big enough to hop over the fence yet, and they still got the cute spots and everything, but they're getting bigger. They're growing up. But all four of them were hanging out while the two mamas were drinking out of the creek and socializing. I guess they probably have a book club set up or something at this point. We didn't get the rain we were looking for. Yesterday, I'll have you know, it hasn't rained here in a while. Good rains for the trees and the grass and, get rid of the drought conditions, soak the ground and everything, make everything look nice and green. And so finally they said, well, we're going to get the heavy rain. It's coming 1 to 3 inches, depending on the area of town, right? And so yesterday, the big rain day came. And I'm sitting here waiting, and I'm watching the news, and they even had live camera footage of the downpour, the deluge in downtown Louisville. Again, this will be the second time this week this has happened. And I had a sprinkle going on. And then I watched the 6 o'clock news last night at the airport. 15 miles as the crow flies. 3 inches of rain. 10 miles south of the airport. 4 inches of rain. 15 miles east of me. 2 inches of rain. 15 miles north of me. 2.5 inches of rain. You know how much rain we got right here on top of my house? 9/10 of an inch. Didn't even wash off the creek real good. So I'm still waiting for my rain. And I had to chase a mouse out of the house. A mouse had taken up residence in our sunroom. I don't know. He wasn't invited. He did, as we've mentioned in the past, mice have horrible toilet habits. And he was hiding behind and underneath furniture for some time, apparently. Must have wandered in when the back door was open, the only thing I can figure. Because we are out here in the jungle, Brian. We've established that. It's the law of the jungle. But that stops at my door. So fortunately, I did a complete clean of that room yesterday with the pine saw and everything, and the mouse has vacated the premises, even though he left his evidence behind. But we have a mouse-free home again. And he's got a few little things sitting out waiting for him just in case he decides to come back. I will not have the law of the jungle being brought into my own home, Brian, here at the castle.
Don't have the law of the jungle in your own castle. And, of course, the Wildlife segment brought to you by the Law Office of Stephen P. New, 888-692-8084.
Stephen P. New would have been a great co-host for Marlon Perkins on Wild Kingdom. Marlon Perkins, instead of that Jim Fowler, who it could be like Marlon Perkins could say, I'll wait in the truck while Stephen P. New goes out and pries the lion's jaws apart with his bare hands. Brought to you by Mutual of Omaha.
You think you have a jungle? Go to West Virginia.
Well, that's true. He does have some experience in dealing with some of those wild jungle creatures over there. Especially, for heaven's sake, the ones in Beckley are the wildest. We've got lawsuit papers to prove that. Anyway, and by the way, just real quick before we start talking about the wrestling news, and we want to talk about somebody particular, but Bill Cosby is out of prison. They let Bill Cosby out of jail. Did you hear the reasoning behind why he got let out of jail?
I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't followed it too closely, it was because the original prosecutor made an agreement with him that he wouldn't prosecute him, and I guess the state Supreme Court said you have to honor that despite him being Bill fucking Cosby. And yeah, that's all I heard. Was that what happened?
Exactly. Yes, that's what every news outlet is reporting, is that they have overturned the conviction because the original prosecutor promised he wouldn't prosecute him. Promised he wouldn't charge him. Well, what the Then you number one, who would make that promise? And number two, who would hold anybody to that promise? Oh, we won't charge you for anything. Oh, you raped 60 people? Well, gosh, sorry. What the fuck? Because the prosecutor promised him they wouldn't charge him, then no matter what crimes that it's found out after the fact that he has perpetrated or committed or conspired to commit or whatever terminology, now that, okay, it's all right. Can he go on a Manson family killing spree now?
It's going to be really interesting to hear what he says during the next stand-up special.
Well, he can barely stand up now. Anyway, he's going to have to be a sit-down comedian from here on out if he chooses to go back to work. I couldn't believe that. He walks in, he's like, what the fuck? They found him guilty. He was guilty of doing these things. Put the prosecutor that promised that they wouldn't charge the guilty man in jail for promising that you wouldn't charge a criminal with his crimes. That ought to be a crime. Is that not a crime? Is it not a crime to promise that you won't charge a criminal with his crimes?
In certain respects, it certainly should be, and I think this is one of them.
Well, I think we ought to go around closing up those loopholes. NewLawOffice.com, 888-692-8084. That's a free one, Stephen. Anyway.
I feel awful for all of his victims, but specifically the one I forget her name right now, but you know the one whose story was the one that caused this whole thing.
I think that was Andrea Constance.
Yeah, that's it. I feel awful for her right now to see this fucking creep walk out of fucking prison celebrating, arms in the air with these fucking stooges running around like they won the lottery.
And now he's going to spend a few days in one of their homes, one of the Cosby homes, with his wife, who never visited him while he was in prison. They haven't seen each other in 3 years.
Ah, remember me?
Oh, God. Would you like a pudding pop? Suck on this pudding pop, honey.
Unbelievable.
It's been 3 years.
How much money do you think he lost in royalties from the Cosby Show after all this? I mean, you think there's any place right now that, I mean, if there is, I don't know. Is there any place that actually airs any Bill Cosby properties anymore?
I didn't go out of my way to find them when they were on the air, and I haven't looked for them, but you don't see any commercials or any advertisements or any things of that nature. How is Jell-O Pudding doing these days? Are they still in business?
They've gotten far away from him like Subway from Jared Fogle. There's no relationship right now.
Oh, and Subway and Jared. Did you see? Well, no, because you're so culturally deprived. But they did the South Park episode with the guy, Jared. They said Jared, oh, God, how did they set it up? But anyway, he needed aides. He needed, like, assistance. Aides to help everybody understand.
Oh, no.
Or whatever. So he wanted to give all the children aides. But here's the thing. Do you remember? You're not old enough to remember. I am. Aunt Lola had a few extra pounds on her. She was a cherubic-faced and portly woman. And at one point in the early 70s, she was taking these diet candies that they used to, and they used to sell a bunch of them. You see the advertisements everywhere. They were little, like, chocolate mint things, and they were called AIDS. AIDS. They aided you in losing weight. They were weight loss aids, and lose weight with AIDS. And I'm pretty sure they've been out of business since the 80s now. But that was a strange example of something. I don't know where we were going with that.
Yeah, I don't know why we're talking about this, but on that topic, did you know that Guns N' Roses originally wanted to call themselves as a band AIDS? Because they thought it would be great for publicity.
And that's serious.
That's serious, yeah.
Well, given Axl Rose's other life and career choices, I can't actually say that I'm surprised at that.
If you met Axl Rose, I don't know where this would happen or how this would happen. If you met Axl Rose and
he's a notoriously bad driver of Ford Mustangs, he's going to come over the hill and land on my fence. That's how I meet Axl Rose.
No, that's Billy Joel. But if you met Axl Rose, how long do you think it would take before you brought up Dick the Bruiser, right? He's an Indiana guy. He had to grow up watching that.
Well, and now that you mention it, that might actually be the only conversation starter I can think of that I could bring up with Axl Rose if me and him were to sit down to have a chat. What else would we talk about? Well, I guess the weather in Indiana.
Possibly. So
now you've introduced me to Axl Rose. What's next? Before we get started with the rest of the program, there's another situation where somebody's passed away, and it just happened. Well, I just heard yesterday, it may have been the night before previous or whatever, but Del Wilkes, the Patriot, passed away apparently of a major heart attack, and he was he 58 or 59 now? I forgot. 59, my age. But you would think to look at Del, I mean, I haven't seen him in quite some time, but he was always, tall, healthy, square-jawed guy, but I know he had the problems with pain pills and prescription pills for a long time. But, I hate to hear that. I know that some people may think, well, what the fuck, he's been wrestling up here until just recently, but the Patriot, Dell's been retired, I guess, out of the ring since what? The late 90s when the WWF run. He tore his triceps again, I think. That was pretty much it. Maybe he made an appearance or two in a few years after that.
Maybe. I'm trying to remember if he went back to Japan, because that's where he would make an appearance, if anywhere.
I don't think because he had already had triceps problems. We'll talk about that in a second. Anyway, people are saying, well, I've seen the Patriot. No, Tom Brandi has been using the gimmick of recent years. I don't know if he's done that in a while. Tom Brandi's got to be getting up there. But Dell was the one to originate it. And as I said, he hasn't wrestled in some time. He got into car sales, and he's from South Carolina. But anyway, I first saw him. He was part of Pedicino's Global Wrestling Federation, as you well remember. And I remember that was at the point where Joe was starting to find out he didn't have access to as much money as he thought he did because the Nigerian backer wasn't coming through. And at one point, Dell, as the Patriot, was one of the major stars and actually one of the only guys on the roster that really looked like he could be a major star in wrestling. And he started out as the trooper in the AWA.
Yeah.
Where he had a state trooper gimmick, and that was the dying days of the AWA, and he was very green, but you could tell, I mean, just with that look, and he looked like a movie star facially. The old-fashioned movie star with a square jaw and curly hair, but handsome, as they used to say about men who still looked like men. But he was really green. But then with the Patriot gimmick, it was flashy, and I've always, I mean, Mil Mosca has proved guys with good physiques and a colorful set of tights and a colorful mask are photogenic. They get over if they can do anything, if they can work and fit whatever the gimmick is that it calls for. And he was different because there were no more masked baby faces. And the 90s was perfect, the red, white, and blue, the Patriot. So even though Global didn't go anywhere, that gave him a gimmick that he could use for a while. And then, he had several good runs in Japan. They just loved, big Americans there. But really what everybody will probably remember is that brief run in the WWF as the Patriot. And how it that was what perpetrated my fight with Kevin Dunn, which is on YouTube, and we won't go into the whole detail there of the production meeting in Halifax, but he was so classic wrestling that neither Vince knew or cared about what to do with him. And I remember one night early on, because Russo just basically shit all over the gimmick in private. He wouldn't, not to Dell's face, but when me and him still spoke, me and Shitstain, he was riding back with, this may have been the night that I told him the story about the fucking heels carrying guns in the car, and he morphed that into I pulled a gun on some old lady in traffic. But we were riding back from a Raw to the hotel, and I'm going to say it was in Oklahoma. Raw had been in Oklahoma City. Maybe we were driving back to Dallas to fly out. But we were in a car together. And that was one of the nights that the Patriot had first got there. He comes out with the music that they later used for Kurt Angle. Waving the American flag. He's got that cool fucking sequined red, white, and blue Patriot mask on. His body looks like $1 million. He's 6'6". And he came out and tore the house down. The people loved him. They gave him an ovation. He got over. Whatever he did in the match that night, I can't remember. They loved him, right? And we're talking about it, and Russo was gobsmacked. He said, I can't believe. I said, what do you, because he was looking at it like, well, if he had come out in New York at Madison Square Garden, they'd have booed him out of the building with all that patriotic crap. I said, you fucking moron. That's why you shouldn't pay attention to what goes on in New York. Because the rest of the country ain't like that. And we were just in Oklahoma City, and he's waving the American flag, and he's the Patriot. You think they're going to fucking boo him? Of course they love, and he looks like $1 million, and he can work. And he can talk. I said, so what the fuck are you surprised about? This is a new baby face. We're short of baby faces. We need to push this guy. He can get over. He looks like a star. Can you imagine the merchandising on the masks, right? And then before the fight at the in the production meeting in Halifax with Kevin Dunn, I said, look, if you want me to work with Dell, I'll work with him. I'll produce his promos or work on his matches or whatever, right? I'll do whatever because we need this guy. And as you remember, the babyface situation on the roster in what was that, very early 1997 was, I mean, there was some stars that had been there, but there was nobody new, and it wasn't deep.
Also important to note, this is the period of time where I don't even know if you could say yet he was a full-fledged heel, but Bret was babyface in Canada, heel in America.
Yeah.
So when you talk about the rosters, who's a babyface and who wasn't, that created an interesting dynamic. And of course, it was Bret and the Patriot that was working together.
Right. And that's the gist of the argument at the production meeting was they wanted to kick the shit out of the Patriot in some respect with the Hart Foundation and leave him laying. And in Canada, they were going to cheer the shit out of that because of what they were doing. And I said, no. I said, he can do it to Shawn. He can do it to this. He can do it to Undertaker. He can do it to whoever, but he can't do it to this guy because he's not over yet. He just got here. And we don't need the people on television watching around the world to see the crowd wildly cheering this guy getting the shit kicked out of him. It's too soon. But anyway, even before that, they wanted to introduce him. He was just there, so they wanted, okay, let's do some promos. Well, instead of, the guy was well-spoken, and he had that deep voice, and he could talk, and he understood wrestling. It was from, as I said, from South Carolina. He grew up watching the Carolinas wrestling. He was trained by Fabulous Moolah, for Christ's sake, initially. So they give him a pre-tape interview because you know who's formatting the show, Shitstain. A pre-tape interview in one of the boxes that was supposed to play during his entrance. All right, well then let's say what you got to say. And he cuts a fucking promo. It's supposed to be 30 seconds. It was 1:05. But it was good. It was a new babyface that could speak and could fucking get over. I said, that's perfect. Let them fucking use it. They'll fit it in. So then we hear on the, no, it's too long. I said, well, it's good, but it's too long. It's supposed to be 30 seconds. I said, but it's good. I said, he didn't think it was good? Kevin Dunn, meaning. I'm talking to the production assistant. He didn't watch it. I said, tell him to watch it, and then if he still thinks it's too long, then we'll redo it. Get the word back. He's not going to watch it. It's too long. I said, then tell him that he's going to have to get somebody else to fucking shoot it because it's good and I'm not redoing it. If he ain't going to watch it, I ain't doing it again. This is the kind of shit you had to do with this fucking Kevin Dunn, this Weasley Bucky Beaver motherfucker sitting in his fucking truck. But anyway, nevertheless, they had fucking, I think Bruce came out and redid it 30 seconds. It wasn't half as fucking good, and they put that on the air. They were sabotaging this fucking guy because Shitstain didn't understand it and didn't understand him and was too interested in people that he, could fucking make silly. And Vince McMahon thought it was too wrestling because that's a classic babyface. And Kevin Dunn had his nose up Vince McMahon's ass and didn't care because as long as you just don't fuck with his fucking television, he'll be fine. So he had some great matches there, I thought, initially. And then I can't even remember who it was with, but he tore the triceps again. He'd had problems, and triceps injuries, especially for big guys like that, are fucking tough. And he'd done it more than once, I think in each arm, which in turn apparently led to or exacerbated his prescription pill problem. And I didn't even know about that until, here's the thing. You can know, like everybody knew that Michaels was fucked up on a regular basis. In some cases, it's obvious who's got a problem with pills or whatever. But Del Wilkes, you would have thought you were dealing with a South Carolina State trooper. He always showed up dressed, on time, professional, never incoherent, never not in any condition or even slightly in a condition not to perform. I wish we'd have had 15 guys with the attitude that he had and that was as easy to work with as he was back then, and we wouldn't have had any fucking headaches. But he's another guy that they didn't get it. They didn't want to get it. They couldn't see it. And he got a crummy run there as a result of that. And obviously, as I mentioned, after getting hurt, whatever, nobody was in any hurry to bring him back. And I'm sure he wasn't probably in a hurry to go back if he could have. But I always thought that this guy, I don't know why, at one point, did WCW pick him up, but it was like in 94, it was a couple of years before the WWF, and he was there for a little while, but that was at a point in time where they were almost in a federal witness protection program, and nobody was paying attention.
He was actually pretty good in WCW. You know, he was good in Global, and you said he was one of their big guys. They built everything around him. He was the top babyface in the company, and eventually when Eddie booked, he booked his brother Doug as the Dark Patriot.
Oh, God. And then there was Doug in a complete full bodysuit and no physique whatsoever, and is all black with the Dark Patriot.
But you were right.
But stand Doug Gilbert next to Del Wilkes, and anyway.
But you were right. He looked like a star. He had presence. He had a really cool theme song at the time. It was kind of like a takeoff of Van Halen Jump. And then he was kind of gone, and it was weird because so many of the guys from Global would pop up in different places, and you didn't see him pop up anywhere. I didn't know what he was doing in Japan or anything. And then when he popped up in WCW, they put him in a tag team with Marcus Bagwell, who, despite being Marcus Bagwell and all that carries, I actually like two tag teams he was in. Him and Scorpio and him and the Patriot. I think they were Stars and Stripes. But they were both good tag teams, and him and the Patriot were good. And then, once again, the Patriot just kind of vanished from there, but that was 94, I think.
And what name was he using in Japan? Was he going to Japan? I can't see the Patriot. Was he doing the Patriot in Japan?
Because then they put Jackie Fulton with him as the Eagle.
That's right. Because Jackie had that Eagle outfit. I remember Bobby telling me about it. Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers had gone to Japan many times as the Fantastics, but when Bobby started teaming with Jackie as the Fantastics here in Smoky Mountain Wrestling and the other places on Independence, when Tommy was on the other side of the country and couldn't just, bop in anytime, Bobby and Jackie were the team, but then he got Jackie that outfit so that they could Bobby and Tommy would still go to Japan, but he was trying to get Jackie over there as the Eagle and finally did. The Eagle and the Patriot. What more Japanese idolatry than that? I'm sure they worship here's the fucking, in Japan, the American flag that bombed us 50 years ago, but we're gonna cheer him now. Anyway.
But and you were right about his promos. He had a great voice, and he could get fired up, and he didn't look ridiculous wearing the mask. It seemed reasonable that he was a masked wrestler. One of the last great American-style masked wrestlers, really, when you think about it, to get on TV.
Think about it. Jerry Stubbs looked like Ned without that Mr. Olympia mask, because he was a great upper body, big chest, big arms, hell of a worker, amazingly agile for 240 or 50 pounds or whatever he was. They called him P-head, the boys in the locker room. He had a small, tiny head, Jerry Stubbs did. And he was balding. But when he put that Mr. Olympia mask on, holy shit. But with Del, like you said, the promos, he had a Southern accent, but not in a hokey Ernest T. Bass way, but in a kind of a cool action hero from the South in a movie way, that the cool Southern accent, but with the deep voice, and he could get fired up and he could cut a promo and make you listen. I really, I wish he hadn't been so injury prone, and I'm sorry to hear in later years about his the problems that he came out and admitted and talked about with his drug addiction. I want to say I saw him last probably at a Charlotte reunion, but one of the fan fests 4 or 5 years ago, and hugged him and, talked a little bit, but, and he looked great back then. I mean, it wasn't like, oh my God, what's happened to so-and-so, like you sometimes react when you see somebody. So I assume this came out of nowhere.
Great opponent for Brett too.
Yeah.
Great fit.
And see, Brett was trying to, within the parameters of what they were giving him, in terms of the booking to work with, to help Del get over also as that gimmick, because he knew and saw that we needed other top guys. But just the Patriot was the one caught in the mix in between DX and the Hart Foundation, and who's a heel in the United States and who's a heel in Canada, and et cetera, et cetera. And
do you think anything would have been different if you got the Patriot a year and a half earlier? There in a whole period of time where you had, the Goon and all these guys coming in, when you needed guys, you really needed bodies then. If you had gotten the Patriot then, you think they would have done a better job?
Yes, because it would have been before that weird, it worked for the Hart Foundation and DX and Brett being a dual babyface and heel and et cetera. That worked in that instance, but it wasn't the best thing for the Patriot to be in the middle of it. If he'd have come in a year and a half earlier, as short as they were on talent then, it was before Shitstain had anything to do with anything. You would have been relying on Bruce Pritchard and I wasn't there till early 96, but Pat was still there till late 95. Pat Patterson, that would have been a gimmick that was right up his alley to fucking get over. Classic old time wrestling gimmick. So he would have seen that Del could talk and work. I think, if he'd come in a year and a half earlier, provided he stayed injury free again. I mean, that's always a wild card, but he would have had a lot longer to get established before Shitstain led Vince McMahon's worst anti-wrestling tendencies down the, and magnified them all. So by then, if he was a top guy by then, they wouldn't have fucked with him. But anyway, but I was sad to hear about that. Like I said, I don't know any interaction he's had with anybody else, but always a nice guy to me. And I really thought he was a good talent that should have gone a lot farther. Anyway, speaking of good talents that shouldn't go any farther, I'm not leaving Louisville, Kentucky, Brian, but it appears that there's rumors that I am. Did you hear about this?
I did hear about this. I spoke with Stephen P. New about this, actually. This popped up, and it appears that, in no surprise, because the big stars are doing it, why not the nobodies? Someone's trying to use the name of Jim Cornette to get some attention.
Well, and I appreciate the little fellas thinking of me. I really do. But apparently, and this is funny, and I'm not going to cuss anybody because it's ridiculous. But it just goes to show you that, my God, these are people that are actually running shows that are advertised and purported to be professional wrestling these days. So I get up, 2 days ago and turn on the Twitter machine, and there people have tweeted me, look at this. My fans, folks who listen to the program or who follow me on Twitter or whatever, wouldn't be fooled by this because they know what the scoop is. But there is a serious repercussion of some of this is that, if just average John and his little son Johnny and his little wife Emily want to go see a fucking wrestling match and they see names of stars bandied about on local advertising, they might be fooled. For those people, this is serious, but for anybody who knows better, this was fucking funny as hell. Some outlaw mud show promoter, allegedly, in Florida man, puts out on Facebook or wherever they do their advertising these days for these things, the cockfights, the dog fights, the bestiality porn video sales, and the outlaw mud show wrestling matches. There's a strong rumor that Jim Cornette may show up at such and such wrestling show in a fucking room at a hotel somewhere or something to confront such and such Mud Show Wrestling's so-and-so, who coincidentally is, I think, the guy writing the rumor on Facebook. And what in the world is going to be said and done if he does show up? And of course, it's me. There's a rumor Jim Cornette's going to show up and blah, 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 blah. And it ain't me, because everybody knows I ain't going to Florida. And if I was going to Florida, I would be charging somebody else a lot more money than this guy. But Brian, it's ridiculous. Talk about a bait and switch. Now, here's the thing. As soon as I get up, and by the yard mowers are here also. I think they left your house and went to my place. As soon as I see this, I send a tweet saying there's a strong rumor that this guy has no money and is trying to swindle people into buying a ticket. What I didn't know was that our attorney, yours and mine, our attorney, the cult of Cornette's attorney, the consigliere Stephen P. New, who apparently never sleeps, had already seen that slanderous false advertising. And overnight, while I was blissfully asleep, unaware that my name was being bandied about by some cretinous, underhanded humanoid trying to profit off false information, he'd already sent the cease and desist letter. And the guy has already started going humming, and it took all that down. And then Stephen, of course, had to, because they were going to try to put this big event on pay-per-view. I swear to God.
Well, I don't think it was real pay-per-view. I think it was fight. It was the fight.
That's what I'm
app.
saying.
Yeah.
But they're calling it a pay-per-view, but it wasn't on pay-per-view television. It was on pay-per-view internet, which apparently you can do that now from the comfort of your own home also. And so Stephen had to let the pay-per-view company know that they were false advertising my trademarked and copyrighted name and etc. But then, guess what happened? They said that first rumor had proven to be not true, but now the new rumor is that old shit state himself, Vince Russo, is going to be the one to show up.
Come on.
And now here's the thing. Obviously, you would think that that's a load of shit. Except Russo, from what the people sent me a screenshot, Russo followed the guy on fucking Twitter after. He's like, oh, a job! Somebody wants me!
Ridiculous.
It's so, God damn it. You can't make that. But anyway, so, Brian, I hate this slow and miserable descent into irrelevance that I've started here in the twilight of my career as I've tried to slow things down and wind things up. I'm so irrelevant that now these promoters, they just try to tease me. Maybe he'll show up and cuss us as a way to sell tickets. Maybe, maybe Cornette will show up and cuss us and we get to cuss at him. Also, there'll be wrestling matches. That's how they're selling these shows now. They name their events Outlaw Mud Show because they think, okay, we're going to advertise this fucking thing, and not a single solitary son of a bitch out there knows who the fuck any of the wrestlers that we're advertising on this show is. But they listen to Cornette. So if we just call it an Outlaw Mud Show, maybe they'll come and give us their $10. Or they say, well, we could advertise these wrestling matches, but let's face it. Again, everybody on the card that we've got, because we have no money and we can't afford to pay them, either that or they're just desperate for work. They're all candidates for the Federal Witness Protection Program. These people, nobody knows who they are. So we can sell more tickets to our show if we just advertise, hey, all you sad sacks of shit that can't stand Jim Cornette, come pay me $10 and we can all sit around and bitch about him together. And that way they don't even have to set up a ring, Brian. It's a lot more cost effective that way. So I'm glad to know that I'm still keeping the wrestling business properly afloat and in business just on the strength of the threat of my name alone. He might show up, gets people to come in droves or come in their pants, one or the other. It's amazing.
Just keeps happening over and over. Mr. Irrelevant. Can't stay out of everyone's mouth.
Can't stay out. I can't stay out of any of these people's mouths, Brian. They're all wanting me to come back and get in their mouth again.
Hey, I don't know if this is going to come up later in the review, so I'll ask it now just in case. During the Young Bucks match, did you hear what Excalibur called them at one point? A nickname he used?
Well, I will explain more in the review.
Okay.
I will say I will. We don't have to blow off your question now. I was hipped to it on Twitter, as the young folks say, when somebody mentioned it. So that's how I knew that it happened. Old excrement called Pie-Face. Do you was it a slip, or do you think he did it on purpose? Do you think there's heat there? What's going on?
Well, I just love that, again, you're Mr. Irrelevant. I have heard on AEW TV from their own commentators, I've heard Pie-Face. I believe I've heard Kenny Olivier a few times.
So one of the fans definitely screamed it during his big championship match.
I'm pretty sure Jim Ross has said it in the past.
I think he went into it and kind of trailed off the A. And there was, of course, the Outlaw Mud Show placards in the street fight.
That's right. That's right. A tribute to you.
Yes. And all the things that we mention every week that they adjust on their programming after we mention it or mock it, as the case may be. But anyway, I am going to talk to Steven, though, because even though Jim Cornette is trademarked, the Cornette face is trademarked now, and Thank You, Fuck You, Bye is trademarked, Midnight Express is trademarked, all this stuff, I'm thinking about leasing these out because I'm thinking it would save these outlaw promoters a lot of money if instead of putting together these cards of 10 million wrestling matches between these skinny, putrid, knuckle dragging, tongue hanging out fucking meth heads that they find and scoop up on these outlaw shows and throw them in the ring to beat each other up. Nobody cares. Just advertise. We are going to bitch about Jim Cornette for 2 hours. Admission, $10. You'll have to turn them away. And I'll lease the Jim Cornette name for them to advertise for the low, low price of only $7 a head. So they can keep $3 a ticket. Brian, do you think that's fair?
I think you finally have hit on something. The more I think about it, this is a great idea. The idea we could license out the ability for people to set up their own anti-Cornette meetings where they can get together and vent about Jim Cornette, maybe buy some anti-Jim Cornette merchandise that you can find at jimcornette.com.
Well, shit,
I like this.
I don't have time for the demand for the merchandise from people who like me. I don't have time to keep up with it. I'm going to start selling the stuff for the people who... How about this? Cameos. But we'll do reverse cameos where you can pay $250 and do a promo cussing me out and I have to watch it. Because I think that now we might have something there. If you said to some of these, basement dwelling subhuman gum bumping sacks of snake feces, you can cuss Jim Cornette out and he's going to hear it personally for $250, I bet they'd jump on it. We need to do reverse cameo.
I like this. Cut a cameo on Jim. Cut a promo on Jim.
Cut a cameo on Cornette and put him in a coma. Speaking of cameos, how'd you like that segue? We're right there in the wheelhouse. The Great American Cameo Bash is going to take place on Sunday, July 11th, where I'm doing the cameos and giving a stern talking to and a dressing down, if you will, to you or whoever you designate me to. I will say anything as long as it's not illegal and could possibly come back to haunt me in a court of law. And we've announced the problems before with them selling out so quick. A lot of people were rushing, not getting the information to me because they're rushing, they're panicked, they're going to get left out. we're bringing that all to an end. That's why it's the Great American Cameo Bash. We're not limiting the number this time, folks. At noon Eastern on Sunday, July 11th, at cameo.com/Jim Cornette, the cameos go up on sale, and they will be on sale for 2 hours. I've already cleared the days with Hotchkiss that week. Whatever we sell, we'll be able to fulfill in 2 hours. After that, you're still fucked. But anyway, so you can take some time and give me some information on the people that need a talking to. That's Sunday, July 11th at noon Eastern for 2 hours. And also, if you've got any leftover cryptocurrency laying around in your little wallets, wherever you keep them, the NFTs from the folks at Rarities are still on sale and or bid. They went on sale on Sunday, June 27th, and they are continuing to be on sale. The bidding for those top tier levels 1 and 2, which includes the unique Cornette face and the signature series and a ring-worn outfit, still will be underway until this coming Sunday, July the 4th at 5 p.m. Eastern. But you go for the whole 9 yards to ProWrestlingNFT.com. And remember, you need the cryptocurrency and the instructions, as I've been getting feedback that many people need these. The instructions for how to turn your good old-fashioned money into this newfangled money are on the website as well. And that's what I've got to say about that.
Well, that's the news, Jim, on the Great American Cameo Bash. Of course, your gardener and my gardener have made cameos during this show. You can hear some of the noise in the background.
Yes. And as a matter of fact, I just saw it because, you know, the Monroe brothers are here laying creekstone for me. But then the Fertitta brothers, they're the ones that do my landscaping. They came in, and just as they're mowing the grass, the Monroe brothers are trying to eat lunch, and they blew all the grass on the Monroe brothers pizza, and I think there's going to be a big fight. But go ahead.
The Fertitta brothers.
They're the landscapers.
Do they have like an assistant named Dana?
As a matter of fact, she's the secretary.
She? I got it. Okay.
Yeah, Dana Fertitta.
All right. Well, as I was saying, speaking of cameos, and actually not speaking of cameos at all, but Cameron Seaman has been...
Wait a minute.
A topic that many people have been talking about.
Cameron Seaman.
What's his name?
Canyon Seaman.
Oh, whatever his name is. Canyon Seaman. Well, now the transition doesn't work at all.
Cameron is his middle name. Canyon Cameron Seaman.
Well, the point is, everyone hates him and he's still there. But let's go to the news. What's going on, Jim, in the world of... Every week on the show now, it's an update about WWE releases.
He's not been fired. That's the point. Canyon Seaman has not been fired. And in other news, Generalissimo Francisco Franco is still dead. The news went around, made a big stir here. It was reported by Uncle Dave, who had to retract this. Thank goodness our friends at PW Insider require double sourcing for their rumors that they hear, and they could not double source it. Therefore, they did not report it, and therefore they did not have to wipe the chicken embryo off of their face when it was found to be not true. But Canyon Seaman, the talent relations whiz, and I say that because everybody that's been a talent since he's been in relations would like to whiz on him, was not fired as was rumored. There were a few other office employees that were let. No more wrestlers this week, right? The sword of Damocles is still hanging above their head. Look that one up, kids. Google it. Still hanging above their heads, but a few more of the office employees got let go, but Canyon Seaman was not amongst them. And they had to retract that story, so...
I feel so bad for Dr. Tom.
Well, I was about to say, Dr. Tom had put it best when he tweeted, I got some good news this morning, karma's a bitch, blah, 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 because, I mean, it's not a secret that everybody dislikes Canyon Seaman. The former, what was he, a volleyball pro?
I think so.
And I remember that, I can't remember when they hired him chronologically, but I remember that Danny Davis, my old partner in OVW, told me that they hired someone in the WWE office named Canyon Seaman, And I bust out laughing because you can imagine every single wrestler in that locker room wanting to make a semen joke. And this guy's their new boss, right? How can this be? And apparently they got him from the world of, as we mentioned, professional volleyball. So naturally, when you're a professional volleyball player, the first thing that you need to do is transition into becoming a fucking talent relations executive for a wrestling company. And he's made real serious impressions on almost everybody, but he didn't get fired. It was almost like they had announced my premature death. Jubilation, fireworks were going off, cakes were being baked, but yet it was drawn a fuck finish, a swerve, reversal. Referee reversed his decision. Maybe it's still a matter of time. Who knows? But they didn't fire anybody when Vince went to the Performance Center. So that's good. They said they brought the whole hee-haw gang, Vince McMahon, Nick Khan, John Laurinaitis, and the Artful Dodger. Went to the Performance Center and talked to everybody and didn't fire anybody. So I stand by my statement that I made on, what was the last show we did? This is the experience on the drive-thru, that Vince is pissed off, and he went to the fucking Performance Center. He went out in the garden to see what vegetables are ready to be picked, and he brought along his Aunt Fanny that does the cannon and of the preserves, and he brought along his brother-in-law that does the barbecue and all of his chefs, and he's going to find some new ingredients, and he's going to make a new stew.
And he brought along his own personal Baghdad Bob, the propaganda chief, of course.
Are you? Wait, Baghdad Bob or Sideshow Bob? Which Bob are we talking about?
Kind of a mix of the two now that you think about it. What a brilliant question you just asked. I never even thought about that. But kind of a mix of the two.
Anyway, so just to bring you up to date, Canyon Seaman, not fired. Generalissimo Francisco Franco, still dead. But in other news, of people who some people actually called, are you going to fire him? People were asking if they were going to fire Jim Ross for slipping and pitching out last Wednesday night with WWE Dynamite. I mean, it was probably not a fortunate placement. Many people mentioned, well, muscle memory. He's done that, WWE for many, many thousands of times over decades and decades on television. But my DVR cut it off. They cut off the last line because it was what a go home line. It was. I bet you everybody in the truck just flipped their shit up in the air like, oh, shit, we almost got by with this one without tanking ourselves too bad. But he slipped and said WWE Dynamite, and people are, is Tony Khan going to fire him? Fuck. If Tony Khan doesn't fire people for committing felonious assault on his television program for real every week and somebody gets carried out constantly, I don't think he's going to fire an announcer for slipping up and getting one of the letters wrong. He got the W.
Oh, come on.
He got the E.
That's no way to defend this.
He just didn't get the A.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
2 W's instead of an A and a W. That was all the difference. What do you think, Brian?
I think, like you said, the placement of it being the last thing you hear on the show, that's... I mean, I could see Tony Khan sitting there and just hitting himself in the head as he's going off the air. And I'm not saying that as a shot at Tony Khan. I mean, I could just see the frustration, but, I'm not a Jim Ross defender, and I've hit him hard for things in the past, and I've hit him hard for sloppy work, I thought, in the past. But some of these things, it feels like there are people just ready to jump on him for anything, and unfortunately, he has slipped up a few times recently, and it's benign. It's nothing, awful. It's not like he's just yelling pussy on TV or anything. But he slips up, and every now and then he gets a name slightly wrong.
Wait a minute. See, that should have been a thing that Shitstain and old Cornrow Ferrara should have come up with. Give Jim Ross Tourette's. They tried every other way to embarrass him and humiliate him. Give him Tourette's, and he can come out, piss, piss out my ass.
But there are people waiting to jump on Jim Ross. And I mean, a couple weeks ago, when Jungle Boy had the match with Omega, at one point they showed Jungle Boy's family in the crowd. He even referenced it. He said, there's his, I think, mother and sister. I may be wrong, though. Don't jump on me, or whatever he said, because he's gotten some things wrong lately. But it's relatively benign. And I think that there are AEW fans who don't like him on the commentating team.
Well, and I also think he made a horrible statement in not anointing Kenny Olivier as the greatest wrestler in the world right off the top of his head a couple weeks ago.
Well, that's the other thing. There's somewhat of an element, let me phrase this very carefully. There's somewhat of an element inside of the company, and I think that based on the knowledge of that, there are some people who are hardcore fans who go with it now, but there's an element inside the company that don't want Jim Ross there, that don't like Jim Ross, that think that Jim Ross not going the full Cornette, but also not going the full Meltzer on the Young Bucks, whoever it may be, that's a problem. Some of the comments in the past, remember when Brandon Cutler fired up at him on Twitter? He doesn't do that if the Bucks don't say go do that.
Well, yeah.
You've seen instances like this where AEW talent itself kind of fires back at Jim Ross, and I think he's in a kind of weird situation now where you have an element that doesn't want him there.
And that element is the people that do the shit that makes him have to do the verbal eye roll that he does every once in a while, when it's like, you expect me to talk about what you are doing here when this is falling apart, makes no sense, something's fucking up. And instead of trying to work on not burying your announcers having to call or talk about stupid shit, now let's get rid of the most famous announcer in the history of the world, because he would actually want us to do wrestling that might be logical so that he wouldn't be embarrassed to talk about it. But anyway.
But again, it's to my main point.
Yeah.
It's relatively benign. Leave him alone about this. He said WWE at the end. I don't go for the muscle memory thing just because he has said WWE thousands and maybe even more than that amount of times. He's never said WWE Dynamite. It wasn't like he said, we'll see you next week on Raw. But again, who gives a shit? In the whole scheme of things, of problems at AEW, Jim Ross is the least of the... He's the least of the problems on commentary, let alone the least of the problems in the company. That's my 2 cents. What do you...
Well, as a matter of fact, you said it very well. He's the least of the problems they have on commentary, much less the problems they have other places that go much deeper. They're announcing, except for an excrement, isn't even as markish sounding as he used to be. He's just such a sop, and the gimmick is so ridiculous to look at.
But it's the way he talks. It's the way he says everything on the show. It's just that.
Well, that's because now he's a mark trying to act like an announcer. But if they were serious, as I said 2 years ago, if they were serious about doing a serious television program and having an announce crew that people would actually listen to, they would take the unknown fucking goof who still lives in the glory of when he was a fucking part-time wrestler in front of 400 people in a barn somewhere outside Cucamonga, and it'd say, if you're going to be the announcer, take the mask off because nobody's ever fucking heard of you, and we're going to give you a actual real person's name, whether it's yours or someone else's, but it'll be a first name and a last name, and you're going to be an announcer. And don't ever talk about ever trying to be a wrestler because you weren't really, and nobody gives a shit. That would be addressing the biggest problem on commentary.
That advice right there is something I call Cornette Driver 98.
Yeah. And that's the thing he said the Tiger Driver 98. A guy is doing it that is not affiliated in any way with Tigers or Tiger Mask or Tiger King or Tony
drivers.
The Tiger.
Or drivers.
Or drivers, anywhere. He's not even using his left and right turn indicator. Just say, oh my God, he's trying to break his neck. He dropped him on his head. That's good enough. Anyway, that's just a piece of news. Have you heard about the other piece of news? This is sad news for anybody who wants legitimacy to the WWE Hall of Fame, who wants it to really, truly represent all the greats in wrestling. A blow was struck just this past week when it was announced, ladies and gentlemen, by one Vincent Russo, that if nominated, he will not run. If elected, he will not serve in the WWE Hall of Fame. No, he would not accept that invitation. He does not need validation for his work by Vince McMahon. He just needs to be validated by his wife and his kids and his family and his close personal friends. And if they ain't going to goddamn vote for him to be in the WWE Hall of Fame, then he's not going to take it. Can you believe that? In related news, ladies and gentlemen, I have also gone on record as saying I will not accept an induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the National Football League Hall of Fame, the UFC Hall of Fame, or any other Hall of Fame that I'm not qualified to be in. Shock and amazement. What the is he off his meds again?
So I missed this. He just randomly announced that he will never accept. I mean, did he get an invitation from anyone?
Well, no. That's the point. He in some interview he did with some person who needed somebody to talk to. I don't know. He let them know that, no, I don't need that validation from Vince. If I was asked, I will not accept it. Well, good, because you're fucking safe. You are safe. You are safe at home. You're safe as in you if you were in your mother's bosom, pal, because that invitation is not coming. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Cornette, they're not going to put you in there either. No, they're not. Not because of the fact that I don't deserve to be in, since the bar is still fairly low about the WWE Hall of Fame once you get into the mid-card and the celebrity wing, but the fact that I say too much shit and people listen to it and they don't want to go through that can of peas. But I've said before, if they wanted to induct me in the Midnight Express, I would accept, because I would not screw up the boys' opportunity. But that I wouldn't accept even if they asked me without the Midnight Express, because I didn't do anything Hall of Fame worthy in my mind. In the WWF, my Hall of Fame shit comes from managing the Midnight Express. But they don't even nominate. If Pat Patterson was in for being a great wrestler and for being an announcer to the WWE public, WWF public, and for being a driving force behind it, but they didn't come out and say he was a fucking writer. They don't put writers in the Hall of... They don't put bat boys in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Where is it? Up in Cooperstown? You're a big baseball fan.
That is correct. Fan. Of course, it's in Cooperstown.
How many bat boys are in the Hall of Fame?
I do not believe there are any bat boys in the Hall of Fame. There are some famous bat boys like MC Hammer, but none in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, well, there you go. So maybe, I guess what he's doing is he's making a preemptive strike, Shitstain is. If they ever come up with the bat boy equivalent of a WWE Hall of Fame slot, he's turning it down right now. Kid, he's delusional. He's delusional.
I mean, don't you just think it's a kind of a cry for attention or valid? I mean, he says he doesn't need the validation. It comes across.
That's where you know he needs the validation.
Yeah, that's the way it comes across.
He would consider that in any way he had ever done anything that would qualify him to be involved in the as low as that standard is these days, to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. He's batshit fucking nuts. He's as full of shit as a Christmas turkey. Somebody needs to check on him. I wonder if he can find his way home at night these days. But anyway, a desperate plea. But I guess he will, however, accept that invitation to go to the Outlaw Mud Show and join the folks in bitching and griping about me.
The CD Warehouse Hall of Fame.
The CD, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You know, we've gone through a lot of troubles with the CD business over the last 20 years or so, but one man has single-handedly kept us all in business, and we'd like to welcome him right now. Oh, wait, what? He didn't show up? Oh, sorry. Well, we'll send this.
He didn't show up. He puts the where in warehouse.
Anyway, you know what I'm thinking, Brian? What I'm thinking is that Shitstain, he needs something to do because, all this drastic, desperate grabbing for attention can wear you out, and you got to be in good shape. So he needs something to do to keep in shape so that he can jump at every feasible employment opportunity and he can grab at every straw. He needs to be in shape from top to bottom. And I'll tell you who can do it, folks. The folks at Echelon. At echelonfit.com. If you've been working too hard and not working out enough, you want to get in shape, but you don't have time to go to the gym, well, Echelon Fit will bring the gym home to you along with trainers, workout community, and workout equipment. When you're trying to reach your fitness goals, you need all three of these things in the equation. The fitness app provides you thousands of live and on-demand classes with great music from your favorite artists. You can work out anytime, day or night. Brian, I know you love to work out about 4:30, 4:45 in the morning. It's peaceful and quiet. You pick your class, you climb the leaderboard, you can cheer each other on and interact with the community. You can track your workouts and progress to reach your fitness goals when you want, and their certified fitness instructors are supportive, engaging, and fun. They know how to goose you and get you moving. And Echelon also offers a full range of affordable workout equipment, including stationary bikes, smart rowers, those sleek fitness screens, the infamous auto-folding treadmill that only folds up when you want to, folks. It will not crush you like a giant jaws of life. It's auto-folding. You control these things. They're all connected.
You will be safe.
Like you were in a mother's arms. All connected with the Echelon experience. Around-the-clock classes for the family. One membership covers a family of 5. That's a good thing for you to know, Mr. Last. Your brood increases on a regular basis. And right now, my listeners will get a special podcast offer from Echelon. For a limited time only, start your 30-day risk-free trial offer with Echelon's EX3 bike for just $1. A special risk-free offer for 30 days. Echelon's EX3 bike for only $1 for the 30 days, plus free shipping. The only way to get this special offer is by going to Echelon Fit. That's ECHELON Fit.com/drive. Even though this is the experience, they love us all. EchelonFit.com/drive. One more time, EchelonFit.com/drive. I want somebody to tweet a picture of them riding this EX3 bike. And we'll just retweet that all over the place. So make sure you're tanned and your hair is combed. But, a lot of the folks are tweeting the products from some of our sponsors' services that we save you money on. They're not easy to tweet a picture of, the services. But some of the goods and the merchandise, they've been tweeting the pictures of Brian, you got a picture of a sack of nuts the other day. It was from nuts.com, not that kind of sack of nuts. And we love it, and the sponsors love it when you interact with us on Twitter like that. So we'll tweet a bunch of that stuff out if you send us some pictures.
That's right.
Well, I know that's right. I didn't need you to agree with me.
Literally, as you're saying this, we just got tweeted a picture. One of the listeners here, and let me...
of a sack of nuts?
No, not a sack of nuts. And actually, I just ordered from nuts.com, and they sent me peanuts in a burlap sack. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's very rustic.
We just got from Sean McKenzie. He had just tweeted us that he got his package from Omaha Steaks, and he's just over the moon about it. And they tweeted back that they're very happy that he's happy with it. So,
we're making people happy.
Everyone's happy.
It's free and easy. I'm telling you, since we started this whole free and easy thing.
I started it.
Since I came up with it. What?
I said it. Free and easy.
If you want to remember it that way, go ahead. I think you need to get on Shitstain's.
Let me ask you a question. What do you
want?
I'm going to give you a couple words. Tell me if you think these are words that people associate with you.
All right.
Mad.
Possibly.
Angry.
Sometimes.
Free. Easy.
Well, attitude-wise.
Easy.
All right, but you can be free and I'll be easy. Or would you rather be easy and I'll be free?
I don't know.
I'd rather be a little loose myself.
All right. Well, this show has certainly gotten pretty loose here.
Well, I'll tell you what, speaking of things that were loose, the kick that Xia Li landed on poor Mercedes Martinez was not loose. It was tight. It was snug. It was stiff. There was no daylight seen through that, between the kick and the head. What is going on, Brian? You've been watching wrestling for 30 years. I've been watching wrestling for 49 years. Wait a minute. Have you been watching wrestling for longer than 30 years?
I've been watching wrestling, not counting Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling or anything that wasn't actually into it, watching week by week. Been watching since 89.
Okay, 32 years.
That's right.
In the days of the territory, live studio wrestling shows were live, broadcast as they happened. If not, especially through the 80s and into much of the 90s, any territory television show was live to tape. There was no post-production. If somebody said something to get you kicked off the air, then you'd do something. Otherwise, you saw what you got, right? Do you remember any 10-year period where we saw as many people knocked unconscious, injured, incapacitated, unable to move, or unable to continue the match, or the match should have been called because they were unable to continue, but nobody was smart enough to do so, that we've seen in the last year? Do you remember that in any 10-year period when there were more wrestling shows on the air?
No, I never remember it being like this. And again, to be fair, we always kill AEW for these kind of things. This time it wasn't AEW, but this one was pretty egregious.
Well, and it wasn't, I will say this, it wasn't reckless, because that the move that was being done was the one that was supposed to be being done. And if you could work those moves, they weren't ridiculously dangerous. But apparently this young lady cannot, because I saw the 2-minute clip it was a mixed tag match. Xia Li and what's her partner's name? Bonnaroo? What is
Boa.
his name? Boa, Bonnaroo, whatever the fuck.
Bonnaroo?
I don't know. I knew there was a B in there somewhere. And against Mercedes Martinez and, oh God, that bland fellow, what's it, Jake Atlas. But anyway, they basically centered on the conflict between the two ladies here, and Xia Li kicks Mercedes with a kind of a pump kick from the front in the chest, and that was the first thing they did to touch each other when they got tagged in, and that knocked her down and looked like it gave her moment to pause. That looked pretty stiff, but they continued on doing some shit, and then a couple minutes later, this was a clipped highlight, I don't know how long later, she does one of those roundhouse kicks and knocked her colder than a banker's heart, like a UFC knockout. She slumped over shoulder-wise and pirouetted to the floor face first. And when Lee went for the cover, Mercedes was so unconscious, but she knew that she wasn't supposed to get pinned. But when Lee went for the cover, she didn't kick out. She just raised her arm up, and she was still kind of stiff. Like she looked like roadkill that had been baking in the fucking sun out on the interstate, where Xia Li was trying to cover her and she couldn't flatten her out because she was knocked out. And then the referee had to stop it. This is happening constantly over and over. And I know accidents happen. And as I said, this didn't look like a maneuver that you shouldn't try to begin with. But I think old Xia Li needs to work on her kicks if she's going to be a martial arts expert. And the attention and concentration and effort to make all these matches either look like video game fights or martial arts movie routines is what's causing all this. And potatoes are as old as wrestling. Mike Boyette, when he was Apocalypse, the Soldier of Fortune, he came out first with camouflage face paint and camouflage outfit and fucking army boots on, and was throwing those savate kicks, and that lasted about a week or 10 days, and they told him either quit kicking or take the shoes off or the boots off. So he started working barefoot. And I was managing him, but he, they had the private talk. And one night I'm seeing him getting his shit put on and he's taping up his feet. And I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "They made me take my boots off. They said they were made out of potatoes." Chris Champion, during a period of time, God, what was it?
88.
87, 88. Remember the grasshopper?
He did the crane kick from Karate Kid on Rick Steiner.
The crane kick, the grasshopper, whatever the fuck. Well, he wasn't the only one. Rick Steiner, what? Because Chris Champion had just enough training in martial arts apparently to be dangerous, and was going to do the crane kick like from Karate Kid and whatever the fuck. And he kicked Rick Steiner right up under the goddamn, right in the mouth, just right up under the chin and the mouth. He did it to a job guy. Every time he did that kick, which he was trying to do it on a couple of TV tapings and a couple of different matches, and he'd kick the fucking guy in the mouth every time. And finally, A, nobody was going to stand there and take it anymore. And B, they told him, "Don't fucking do that if you can't do it." But again, the NXT guys and girls are better trained. They're in better shape than the AEW guys or the standard independent guys. When I say better trained, I'm not even taking into account the mental and the philosophical and the psychology of wrestling. I'm just saying trained as athletes and trained to do moves. The NXT guys and girls are much farther ahead than anybody else out there because they have a whole performance center and that's what they do. But still, you can't just tell this girl, "Okay, now you need to be a goddamn martial arts expert because this hooded figure has beat you and Bonnaroo all to shit on all these videos. So now you come out and you're Bruce Lee," if she can't fucking do it. And when you're just throwing kicks with that much velocity to the head, wrestling kicks, unless you just really want to be a prick, are not going to fucking give somebody a concussion when you're stomping or you're kicking somebody in a regular wrestling fashion. It's when you get this fucking martial arts bullshit. Goldberg shooting Bret Hart. Why would a guy that looks like Goldberg shoot a guy off and be doing the big fucking side savate kick anyway? For heaven's sake, that would... Goldberg doesn't have the Bruce Lee physique.
Everyone was into the UFC, that's why.
Well, I know, but yeah, and yes, and guess what? In UFC, people get kicked in the head and get knocked out and have their career ended, which is what happened to Bret Hart. Maybe Goldberg should have done it in the UFC instead of wrestling. This is not the fucking concept, folks. You are not supposed to be giving each other brain damage and having each other hauled off in a fucking meat wagon to go have surgery on some appendage on your body on a regular basis. Can you imagine? They only wrestle once a week, and they're always hurt. Who's got a concussion? Who just had their neck fused? Who's got surgery? Who's got this? Who got knocked out on TV? Who got landed on? Who fucking jumped off the top rope, did 3 flips, and dropped their ass on somebody's head and caved the side of their fucking face in? Whatever the case, it's ridiculous. And when they're only wrestling once or twice a week, can you imagine? That's the reason why guys that were wrestling 8 and 9 times a week, counting television tapings, didn't do all this stupid shit. Because you couldn't. You'd never make a living. And the promoters would go out of business because you couldn't count on anybody to be there for their advertised matches because they'd always be in a fucking hospital. That's why guys didn't do stupid shit. That's why guys trained and educated the fans to accept and to be excited by and to like and to be into shit they could do safely. And a big part of that, as we've mentioned, was making sure that the people were into them as people. Instead, the fans were into them as personalities, the wrestlers, instead of spot monkeys and tumblers and acrobats. So when somebody did get supposedly hurt or something bad was happening to them, you had sympathy. Or when somebody was fucking really putting the works to the guy you liked, you were mad at them because you were into those people as personalities, not just watching interchangeable fucking gymnasts go through complicated and often sloppy routines. So these girls weren't doing that. She just needs to work on her kicks. But this is just another of the many, we'll talk about one later on in the television review, of the many instances where guys are just fucking dropping like flies everywhere. I don't know. Anyway, I hope she's all right. But every time you get a concussion, it leads to being easier to have more. And then once you've had too many, they're going to, like Samoa Joe and everybody else, they're going, well, you can't wrestle anymore. Well, then what are you going to do? You're going to go wrestle for somebody else that's not as fucking strict and risk brain damage, but your big paying job is over with because some fucking goof couldn't fucking figure out how not to kick you in the head hard enough to cause brain damage. Or land on your head, or drop you on your head. We'll get to that later on. But there has never in history been this many ridiculous and unnecessary injuries, and they all come from sloppy shit. It's easy enough to get hurt doing this. You don't have to do it being sloppy or doing just phony shit because you had an idea. And that's what some of them do. They dream up some phony looking shit that'll be real cool for the people who don't care if wrestling looks fake, and then they hospitalize themselves. Well, I'm done with that.
That is one of the crazy things. Everyone knows what the business is now, and you can either accept it or have a problem with it, but everyone knows what it is now, yet they're hitting everyone harder than ever before. They're doing more to hurt themselves and other people than ever before, whether intentional or not. Yet everyone's in on it. It's hard to wrap your head around that, quite frankly.
Well, speaking of wrapping your head around something, I've got to plug something. I saw this clip. I tweeted it out. The Briscoe brothers, not Jack and Jerry, but Mark and Jay Briscoe, them boys from Delaware, on this weekend's television program. That's the way that I read it. From Ring of Honor, are going to have a fight on the chicken farm. And they did a package, and everybody knows that I'm a huge fan of the Briscoes. I think that Mark and Jay Briscoe are they're not the best in-ring tag team in the world, or they weren't as of last year because that was FTR just as pure workers. But the Briscoes are a tremendous and unique tag team, and probably maybe the two best personalities in wrestling today, just to be completely truthful to who they are and what they are and how they come off. Maybe the best personalities in any company in wrestling today. I've been a fan of theirs for a long time. They're doing a brother and brother thing, but thankfully, it's not a ripoff of Bret and Owen Hart, and where the younger brother is a whiny, heel or whatever. And it's not as dry as the famous match between Dory and Terry, which was a Japanese tournament final, and you got to see them wrestle, but there wasn't any, emotional reason behind it. It was all for the tournament. This one, they're just two brothers that have been crazy and fought each other all their life and have fights to settle their differences when they're at the farm, and they're going to do this, and they did the package. You saw some of it, interviewed Papa Briscoe, who's more credible and a better promo than most of the guys in the business today. And he told the story. Yeah, they've been doing that since they grow up. They whoop on each other. And that's what we're going to get it out of their system where they can settle down. And Mark and Jay they're both, you could legitimately probably get somebody to certify that they need to be put away somewhere. They're both fucking crazy as rainbow trouts in a car wash. And they've got the fucking look. And somebody mentioned this on Twitter when I tweeted out that video package. They said, here's the difference. If either one of these Briscoe brothers, much less both of them, came up to me on the street and were mad at me, I would turn around and start running, whether I had a bat or a tire tool or whatever the fuck. I'd get the fuck out of there because they looked like they'd fucking kill me. And if the Cucamonga kids, Pieface and Balding, did the same thing, came up to me on the street, I'd laugh. Whether they could beat me or not, I wouldn't be scared of them because of the way they look. And also, they would probably think that they were trying to sell you lemonade or something. But that's the difference. The Briscoes, they look like who they are. They talk like who they are. They work like who they are. And I'm a fan. And I'm going to watch this, and we're going to talk about it. As I said, I assume it's this weekend's program. Hopefully, we'll have that on the drive-through. But I want to see, because, as I mentioned in the tweet, brother versus brother is hard to pull off, and cinematic matches are often dreck, but they're on their real legitimate chicken farm, which, by the way, I don't know. Does anybody even know now? I assumed when I was with Ring of Honor, we disseminated this information quite often, but that's their real fucking job. Besides wrestling for Ring of Honor for the past 15 years or whatever, they work on the family chicken farm. And I actually had Mark and Jay, they both came in the locker room one time, and Jay was kind of dragging. I said, Mark was dragging. I said, Mark, what? He said, oh, man, we had to clean out one of the coops. And apparently he spent an hour in this summer heat in one of the big chicken coops they had that holds like thousands of chickens, because it was hot and they had an issue, and he had to shovel a bunch of dead chickens out of there in summer heat. I'm like, you motherfuckers, no wonder you're fucking crazy.
Are they Cajun originally? Because I was listening to the dad's voice in that promo, and he sounded Cajun.
It's a dialect, and maybe somebody else out in the audience can explain it better, but the folks on the coast of Virginia, from, say, Roanoke over to the coast, and that end of Delaware also, Earl Hebner has that Virginia dialect. The Briscoes sound a lot like Hebner and some of those guys over there. I don't know what the difference is, but anyway, they have it. Again, it's unique to them, but they're going to fucking film, and I assume they're going to do it in one take. I hope they do, because those guys are good enough to, and once you start doing multiple takes, you've lost a lot of what makes wrestling. But I bet you it's probably going to be entertaining, because they're fucking entertaining guys, especially Mark. Jay has to be the serious brother, but Mark's fucking nuts. And he's the brilliant one, for real. But I hope it's not going to be silly. I expect it to be entertaining. I expect it to look good. I expect them to beat the shit out of each other, but not do any crazy fucking stupid, reckless thing that fucking hurts them too bad. And I'm just hoping, and I don't expect it, that it will not be silly. I don't expect that from them. So we'll see what fucking happens. But I love those. And here's the thing. They had a chance. What was it, 2011, 12-ish? The WWF was sniffing around, and they ended up not biting because of certain things that the Briscoes may have said or done in the past, but that's probably the best thing, because I think these guys, they would have emasculated the Briscoes of everything that makes them special and real, and they would have been lost in the shuffle, and they would have probably made a good bunch of money for a little while, but they wouldn't have been happy, and they would have been away from their family and their home, and the whole family lives on kind of a compound there in Shady Fork. So they're like a modern day northern type version of the Armstrongs. They would rather be in the wrestling business, do their family business, be with the family, and, and be themselves, rather than, I think, the WWF. That's where they should have been. They should have been the biggest star tag team in the business at one point. But they wouldn't have. They might have made some money in WWE, but they wouldn't have gotten there, because that would have been another case where they just didn't know what to do with those guys. And they're the antithesis of sports entertainment, because everything the Briscoes do that really gets over is stuff that you would believe. So anyway, we'll watch that and see what's going to happen.
We've seen the good and the bad of modern tag team wrestling. AEW, WWE, including NXT. Is there a tag team that you see that you actually think would be a good fit to work with the Briscoes?
Well, see, here's the thing. FTR would have been an incredible fit, and some people might say, well, it might be a clash of styles. No. If you had the Briscoes as the kick-ass baby faces and FTR as the Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson style wrestling heels, there would have been contrast, but still everybody's good enough they could have torn the fucking house down. Because the Briscoes' best matches, actually, I thought, were not even with Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin that you would think, because Haas and Benjamin were more real and more experienced, but it was with Hero and Claudio, because they just had a better style that meshed with. Hero and Claudio could work with anybody. Their matches with Haas and Benjamin were tremendous. But Hero and Claudio just had more of the old style heel tag team tendencies that were perfect for the gimmick baby faces like the Briscoes. I think that FTR could have done the same thing. God, I'm trying to think of another really good tag team these days. Help me.
I can't.
Isn't that sad?
Proud and Powerful, although we haven't seen them team up as a tag team in a long time.
I was about to say, if we ever really saw a good look at them against somebody that, knew what they were doing too, we'd know, but we don't. Well, there you go. But that'll be this weekend on Ring of Honor television, folks. And the Lex Luger documentary is coming up on the Cock. Is this what I'm hearing?
I believe so. I believe it's Sunday night. A documentary looking at Lex Luger should be interesting.
On the Peacock?
On the Peacock. So now help me. Explain this to me, Lucy, Ricky. This is still part of the WWE Network programming. It's just it's on the network on the Cock rather than. This is not something that Peacock has done independently. No. 6 months ago, this would have been on WWE Network.
Okay, so, but we have seen clips that indicate that Lex has been interviewed in modern times because he looks like he does now and he's in the wheelchair. So there's some clips of that. So apparently, since he is cooperating in it, they're not going straight for the self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior type of thing, but more of a redemption story. Because I think they even mentioned, I think the word redemption might even have come out of Lex's mouth.
From everything I've seen with Lex over the last several years, every interview, every clip, I think it would be pretty hard to do a hit piece on him right now.
Yeah,
it seems like he's the one guy that bad shit happened to, and it looks like it legitimately humbled him.
It did.
Changed him and made him a better person.
But see, it still wouldn't be hard for Vince if he wanted to, but I was just thinking, okay, who did Vince hold the grudges against? Was that Savage? And fucking Lex was persona non grata for a while, but I'm hoping this, and I guess it will be fair, and I'm looking forward to seeing it, because we've talked about Lex was not a bad guy. He wasn't a wrestling fan or a person who understood kind of what wrestling was, and I think there was even in a clip in one of the highlights from this that somebody said Lex maybe it was Brett, didn't enjoy going out and interacting with the fans as a babyface. He wasn't comfortable. Remember, that's why we said he was a more natural heel and a better heel, because he had kind of an aloof manner, and he was so perfect in almost every way. But like you said, between the health issues and all the stuff that's happened, he has really become a different person, and not just because of the religion thing. I know I've said this, and I don't want anybody to say, well, you don't give anybody else a pass for finding God. Well, I'm not saying that it was the best thing for Lex either, but apparently it was better than his alternatives. But it's not just about being the same person, but now you believe in God because you fucked everything up. Lex legitimately comes off as much more nice, more humble, more grateful for things, more personable than he was, when he was the package. Not to say he was a prick at that point. At least he never was to me. It's just, he just wasn't. I don't know if Lex was a person that was ever suited to being in an entertainment business, or a public figure or a celebrity, because he looked perfect, but he didn't. I think maybe now some of the problem was he had some kind of ego, but he didn't have an ego about how good he was, because I think down deep he knew he wasn't all that good. Does that make any sense?
It makes lots of sense, although I will say, as I've always said, Luger was really good late 88 on. Late 88 through at least 91, Luger was great.
Well, but I'm not even talking about in the ring now. I'm talking like with the when they decided when Vince wanted to make him the next Hogan and gave him the Lex Express, he's got to go out and shake the hands and kiss the babies. He was not comfortable with that. He wasn't confident. I don't think that the people were going to like him. Was it a little bit of Barry Windham syndrome in that he didn't mind being one of the top guys, but he didn't want to be the top guy? Was it? I don't know. Well, maybe we'll find out in this documentary. Anyway.
It really is one of the amazing things about Hogan. Hogan was the right guy to give that kind of push to. He could handle that pressure, and he could deal with everyone every single day.
And if they weren't around, he'd drum them up somehow so they could give him more attention.
Flair, too. I mean, really, when you look at Flair, you could put all the pressure in the world on him. He handled it well. He could do press interviews. You haven't seen it in a very long time. I miss the old reserved Ric Flair. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I miss that. Ric Flair. You don't see that anymore, but he could handle the pressure and do all that.
But he could switch around. He could, if he was being interviewed by George Michael for NBC, not the singer, but the sports machine host for you younger fans, he would be the yes, sir, no, sir, and he'd be the world champion, and he'd have the suit, and he'd look good. But at the same time, he had such a personality. When he walked in the room, you knew he was in the room, whether it be Bennigan's or Applebee's or the locker room or whatever. And Lex was not that outgoing of a person that one would think that he would want to have attention heaped on him. Anyway.
Did the Horsemen try to get him? One last question about this. Did the Horsemen, because they did party together, and they were outgoing kind of guys. When he joined the Horsemen replacing Ole, did they, knowing that Crockett Jr. was investing all this money in him and he was all over the Yapter mags, was there an attempt to try to get him to party with those guys and hang out with those guys and get him to be part of that group?
Well, I wasn't following him around, so I can't say what went on at Applebee's when, just the Horsemen and every woman in the particular city was around. But, they were more concerned with training him in the ring. And that's what the on-the-job training was, from those tag matches and six-mans and JJ in the corner and et cetera, et cetera. I'm sure that, there were invitations given for him to go out or whatever, but he naturally gravitated more toward a guy like Sting. That's why they were friends and business partners in the Gold's Gyms and everything for a while, because you can see they work out together. They've got that in common. Even though Flair worked out, obviously overworked out. He had a gym in his own home, but that was a means to an end of being a wrestling star, whereas Sting and Luger had worked out before they got in wrestling, and that was a more natural personal pairing, especially when they were on the same side as baby faces and they could go out in public together. But the Horsemen were primarily trying to train Luger in the ring. I don't know if Jimmy Crockett wanted them training him to go out and drink with them, because that obviously, with things that happened later on in Lex's life, may not have been a good thing that early. All right, I wanted to plug something also because it's worth it to everybody. Our friend Scott Teal at Crowbar Press has done it again. Did we mention this on one of the other programs before I got the books?
I don't know if we did. I know we mentioned the Amarillo one. I don't know if we mentioned this one.
You know what? We were talking about this off the air, but Scott Teal has reprinted 3 volumes of books of classic St. Louis wrestling programs that were collected by the late Jim Melby from Minnesota, who was partners for years. Jim was a great historian, wrestling fan, but he was partners with Norm Keitzer in Pro Wrestling Illustrated and
no, Pro Wrestling Enterprises.
Or Pro Wrestling Enterprises. I'm sorry.
He worked for Norm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But anyway, Jim passed away some years ago, and in his will, he left a Japanese wrestling fan named Koji Miyamoto his program collection of these programs from St. Louis. These even predate the Office bound set that I got, that I've talked about many times, from Pat O'Connor's widow when he passed away, because they started with Sam Muchnick's first event that he promoted in 1945. Well, these go back to 1943, and they are the programs called Sports Pointers, which were printed and issued for the Tom Pax promotions that continued even after Muchnick started promoting in St. Louis. There were two promotions, and then Luthez and his father Martin got involved and bought what was it, a majority or at least some interest in the Pax promotion, and then gradually by late 40s they were combined. For a while there, they were working together, but the fans didn't know it.
And by the way, I should mention here on this topic real quick, a correction from a few weeks ago. You and I talked about the best wrestler son of a promoter, and I got to give him credit. Dave Meltzer realized this, and he put it on Twitter.
Yeah.
We forgot Luthez.
Well, but I think the question was phrased, was there a promoter that had a son that was a better wrestler than him, or something to that effect? That's what, but in all correctness, yes, the best son of a promoter would have been Luthez, because his father Martin was nominally the promoter in St. Louis for a few years there. Anyway, point is, these books are available at crowbarpress.com from Scott Teal, and they're classic arena programs. It's a series that he does. He's done for a number of cities, but these are volumes 6, 7, and 8, and they go from 1943 to, oh shit, I don't have volume 8 here in front of me. What did they end up in, 1949?
I have them right here. Hold on.
Boy, that's a squeaky office chair you got there, Brian.
1951!
1951 is where they got it. Niagara Falls, slowly I turned, step by step, inch by inch, I crept up on that squeaky chair. Anyway, I'm not going to sit here and read these 3 volumes of programs, but there was one that I wanted to discuss. Some of the wrestling business fact and figure nerds out there that loved when we talk about how much guys get paid and the Houston payoffs we did last week and everything. This is somewhat similar. Before anybody says, wow, this is all wrestling hyperbole and bullshit, not only was St. Louis, as we mentioned many times, one of the greatest wrestling cities in the country because it was promoted as a legitimate sport, and under Sam Muchnick that continued to the modern era, but also the state of Missouri had an athletic commission, and attendance figures and gates had to be reported legitimately to them. It was a government entity. And also the programs that were printed by Sam Muchnick, who was an ex-sports writer, and these sports pointers that predated him, they were factual in terms of reporting events. So-and-so beat so-and-so in such city in front of so many people on such date. The only thing they didn't reveal was that wrestling was a work, that the matches were predetermined, but everything else was treated specifically as a sport and straight and etc. So these programs are some of the best sources of pro wrestling history, not only for St. Louis, but a lot of things that happened in the NWA that were printed over the years in these issues. We've talked about Wild Bill Longson and how, according to Uncle Dave's list that he made, and I think there's no reason to debate this very highly, Longson to this day is still the 4th biggest box office attraction in the history of wrestling. Of course, Jim Londos, number 1. That's not ever going to change. Because of the dominance that Longson had at the period of time in the 40s when he was the biggest box office attraction in all of the sport. And in the 40s, as we mentioned, with Madison Square Garden completely dark and having no wrestling at all from 1939 to what was it? They came back in one show in late 49, and then it was 51.
Yeah, because it bombed.
Yeah, because that show bombed. But during the 40s, a lot of the guys were in the Army. Even Lou Thez was in the Army. So in various forms of the service. But Longson, as the world champion, especially during the World War II years, was fucking dominant. And this is not just St. Louis. Toronto, Longson was huge, drawing big crowds, 15,000 sometimes, with Whipper Billy Watson in the Maple Leaf Gardens.
Houston, he was big.
Houston, he was huge. But this program from November 17th, 1944, the front page, while advertising Longson in a title match with, Don Evans, coming up, there's also a story from one of the reporters in the St. Louis Globe-Democrat that lists some details on Longson's record in St. Louis with his opponents, the results, and the attendances. And I just want to read a few of these. And the not to bury the lead, Wild Bill Longson appeared for the first time on October 22nd, 1941 in St. Louis, Missouri. At that point, he defeated Lou Thez, as a matter of fact, in front of 9,124 people. Over the next 3 years, Longson, in main events in St. Louis, primarily at the Kiel Auditorium, a couple at the Arena, which later became the Checker Dome, drew a total of 573,671 fans, according to Missouri State Athletic Commission figures, in a 3-year period in the same city. 573,671 live event tickets sold for Bill Longson's matches in the same fucking city in 3 years. During that 3-year period, he'd wrestled in St. Louis 58 times. So that is literally an average of 10,000 fans per appearance. He won 54 of those 58 matches, for those people who say wins and losses don't matter. Some of the highlights, just real quick. April 8th, 1942, they set a record 13,129 fans to see Longson versus Strangler Lewis. But during that 3-year period of time, he also drew over 12,000 for matches with K.O. Coverly, Vic Holbrook, Sandor Szabo, and Whipper Billy Watson. He drew more than 11,000 for matches with Sandor Szabo, the Swedish Angel, K.O. Coverly, and Lynn Macaluso, who I've never even heard of. And a couple of these others you just go through. He literally went through every major name in professional wrestling at that point in time. He beat Ray Vilmer in front of 10,761. He beat Everett Marshall in front of 8,401. Beat Sandor Szabo. Listen to this. On January 7th, 1942, he beat Everett Marshall in front of 7,003 people. And January 23rd, he came back and lost to Sandor Szabo, one of those 4 losses, in front of 10,221. So there, and then February, they only had one show with Longson. He beat Sandor Szabo in the rematch in front of 11,129. But they were running St. Louis twice a month at that point.
If I could just jump in just for perspective, the dates and the gates that you just gave from January of 42, that's a month after Pearl Harbor.
Yeah. This is all during, not just a month after Pearl Harbor, this is all during World War II, when you would have thought, and I wonder, what was the population of St. Louis in 1940?
Let me look for it.
I bet that's out there while I read a couple more of these. Ed Strangler Lewis in April 1942, as I said, 13,129. But he also, while there was a little bit of a summer slump, he came back and put a string in November. Yvonne Robert, 10,129. A rematch, 9,003. And then January 1943, he goes on a fucking tear. K.O. Coverly, 12,008 people. In February, he comes back against Emir Badu, which was the lowest crowd during his run of 5,461, but comes back 2 weeks later, draws 10,123 against Bobby Manigoff. 2 weeks later, same opponent, 10,067. Yvonne Robert, 89.62. Bobby Manigoff back to 93.99. Vic Holbrook, 12,100.
And this, by the way, is the guys in the mix because this goes back to Houston. Manigoff wins the NWA, the National Wrestling Association, world title from Yvonne Robert. So, I mean, all these guys are in that main title mix for the NWA, again, predating the Alliance, but the NWA world title.
The National Wrestling Association is what it was called at this point. And 1944 is just off the fucking chain. Well, starting in November 43, Swedish Angel, 11,322. December 43, Vic Holbrook, 10,524. K.O. Coverly again, 11,573. Warren Bockwinkel, Nick's father, 11,532. These are successive shows. And matter of fact, Bockwinkel and Szabo, 2 matches in the month of February 1944, drew 23,000 plus people. March, Swedish Angel, 11,338. Sandor Szabo, 11,191. April, Whipper Billy Watson, 12,400. Gino Garibaldi, 94.81. May, Whipper Billy Watson, 12,471. It just ridiculous totals. What have you found that population yet?
I did, and it's kind of interesting looking at this. The population, according to this, in 1940, do you want St. Louis City or St. Louis County?
Let's say St. Louis County. Let's take the whole metropolitan area.
Well, no, it appears that that is separate from the city, not including the city.
Actually, St. Louis is not in St. Louis County. I've been to St. Louis. That wasn't the name of the county.
St. Louis City in 1940 has 816,048 citizens.
Okay, so if they're drawing, well, let's just imagine since he drew 573,058 shows, that's an average of 10,000 a show. If they're, he's not there every show, but they're running every 2 weeks. Let's say he's easily selling 200,000 tickets a year. So they're doing 25% of their population in per year in wrestling tickets.
You know why I said this was interesting? Because St. Louis is a major city. But again, 1940, 816,000 and change. St. Louis County, 274,000 and change. Go to 1980, let's say. Sam Mushnick's still promoting. Or not still, but promoting by that point.
Yes.
1980. St. Louis City, 453,000. St. Louis County, 973,000.
Oh,
it completely reversed.
They've redistricted some things, apparently. But anyway, the point is, this was a guy, and the only reason that Wild Bill Longson isn't talked about like Buddy Rogers or Argentina Rocca or any of the 50s stars as much as they are with historians is because this was the decade before television. This was the decade before there would be any film or tape still left, and none of this shit exists. But for pure dominance at the box office and drawing repeat business, because this was, we talked about Longson was not the first heel in wrestling. He wasn't even the first heel champion, but he was the first world champion that kind of started traveling the country and taking on that role of the heel champion that cheats to wins, and you got to see a rematch because they'll get him next time. That's when that was, Toots Mondt came up with that concept, but this was really being perfected at that point.
Plus, he put the pile driver on the map.
Invented the pile driver. But and Longson was a big behind-the-scenes influence. After he retired, he still wrestled through the 50s when necessary, but he was involved with the St. Louis office and involved with Muchnick and was a booker and behind-the-scenes figure for quite some time. I think his last match was like either in the very late 50s or early 60s. They did an angle where they brought him back on television, Wrestling at the Chase. One of the current heels had got sideways with him, and they brought him back for a special match because he was still such a name. Everybody in that town had grown up, obviously, going to his matches. So, but that kind of repeat business required these guys to learn how to do finishes that would leave people wanting more, and he perfected a lot of the heel tactics and the shortcut or the cheat or whatever the case may be to, create these return matches. And they're not even, major stipulations involved in bringing, it's just every time that they would get a baby face over, the people would want to see them beat Longson, and Longson almost never lost, but just a few times enough to show that it was possible. And I mean, the repeat business is just incredible. And that's, like I said, during World War II, when people had other things going on, and with no television promotion because it didn't exist yet. So, for everybody that says, again, one more time, that nobody thought that old-time wrestling was real, and Vince McMahon took it out of smoke-filled arenas and, boys' clubs and into big arenas. This is one of the biggest cities in the country at the time, and this guy was drawing sellout crowds when they couldn't even put a wrestling match in Madison Square Garden because it had been exposed and stunk out so bad in the 30s. There's all kinds of, that's why I love it. Scott Teal is wonderful at these historic pieces. We mentioned the Amarillo book. We mentioned the Knoxville book, etc. Crowbarpress.com if you want to read about this. But Longson is a guy that really should get a lot more attention these days because he's the last one. Everybody talks about Londos because it's Londos, right? But and Lewis, Strangler Lewis. But of the pioneers, Londos came right in that dark age of the 40s when there wasn't a lot of wrestling or any wrestling in New York except for the smaller clubs, and people were distracted because of the war. But this every time you look at the records, I'd asked
Longson, not Londos.
I'm sorry, Longson, I should say. But Longson is forgotten because he's in the middle. Of course, everybody remembers Londos. Everybody remembers Strangler Lewis. And that's why I said the Toronto thing. I'd asked the guy that does the Maple Leaf Gardens tweet site and has so much history there. He had sent me some facts and figures on some of the Toronto matches. And as you said, Houston, he was huge. And I mean, the West Coast, wherever the World Wrestling Champion went in the 40s, Longson was huge there, but he's just in that middle part. He's not really a pioneer, and he's not the television era. But I would love to have been there at that point in time just to go to those fucking shows. That had to be an insane atmosphere.
Yeah, and just think about the loop these guys were on. Not loop, in the traditional sense, but in terms of the big cities, again, as far south as Houston, Montreal, and then St. Louis in the middle. I mean, these guys are working all those shows. And those are the three of the major cities at that time. Jim, I do want to recommend, I'm a big fan of Crowbar Press. I think Scott Teal puts so much heart and soul into everything he does and puts out so many great books. But there's another really good St. Louis book some of the listeners may like. It's called The Strap by the late Roger Deem.
Yes.
It's a history of the Missouri State Championship, so it goes into Flair and Ken Patera and the Von Erichs. Really, really great book. I really like that one, too.
And that's available at crowbarpress.com also.
That's right.
Scott just doesn't do the 40s. He's got all kinds. He's got biographies and interview books and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, speaking of all kinds of stuff, what in the world are the shenanigans going on in the world of Arcadian Vanguard this week?
Hey, how should I know, Connie? I think we have another action-packed week on the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network. Get information about all shows on Twitter at Superpodcast or on Facebook, facebook.com/Arcadian Vanguard. A lot of things in the works right now. A good time to sign up, follow us, and keep in touch and see what happens in the future. A lot of interesting things happening, but few notes. The latest episode of Stick to Wrestling with John McAdam, available at McAdamPod.com, or, of course, wherever you find your favorite podcast. John talks about 25 years ago, Bash at the Beach, Hulk Hogan turns heel, joins the NWO, get his thoughts and opinions on this amazing historic event 25 years later. Stick to Wrestling with John McAdam at McAdamPod.com, wherever you find your favorite podcast. Also want to make mention of the latest Patreon exclusive episode of Breaking Kayfabe with Baldwin and Barry at patreon.com/Baldwin and Barry. On this special Patreon show, the boys are joined by Bob Roop for a long talk as well as a question and answer session. Check this out today. Once again, patreon.com/Baldwin and Barry, and listen to Breaking Kayfabe wherever you find your favorite podcasts, or download it from BaldwinPod.com. And of course, the 605 Superpodcast, The Mothership!
Mm.
Go through.
The kiss of death.
Surprised me by that one. Go through. That's more like it. Go through the archives today at 605pod.com. There are some things in the works, maybe some fired up 605s coming up soon. We'll see what happens, but
somebody said something about fired up
at 605pod.com. The Mothership.
Oh,
Hey, fuck you. And you.
Yeah. What about you?
You had one of my favorite lines once. Fuck you, and really fuck you.
Well, I meant it more on the last one. All right. I guess the time has come. We've killed enough time and we've done everything else. We're going to talk about some modern wrestling here, at least what they describe as modern wrestling. AEW is back on Wednesday nights. Once again, on Wednesday night, we get to stay up late and watch Kenny Omega while we do all those things we do. Did you notice that Jericho took the full 3-minute song to get to the announce desk right at the top of the program?
And he was grinning like he was getting a fucking blowjob. Jesus Christ.
Well, he was. All the paid fans and actually now the ones that are paying fans were blowing him, figuratively at least.
As he waddles out to the table as slow as he can. Jesus Christ. This is national TV.
3 minutes of the guest announcer entering and going to the announce desk. I'm glad that he did not cover Inagata Davida with Fozzy, or we'd have been in bad shape. But I found a way, Brian Last. I found a way to stay in a better mood watching this program when the Cucamonga Kids are on the first match.
Oh, man, are you smoking weed during this, too?
No.
Oh.
I used my thumb. I decided, you know what? Life is too short. The first match on this program, again, and we've talked about it, the Cucamonga Kids, Pie Face and Balding, they got to get in while the crowd's still fresh, do all of their shit that trivializes and minimizes everybody else's, and get out before they get any on them. And it's a first match again, this time against Penthouse and Eddie Kingston. And Penthouse had Alex. Now Alex was back in his corner. So you've got the most heelish motherfucker in the world, Alex, the translator, with Penthouse and Eddie Kingston, who's a character gimmick babyface, teamed up against two supposed heels, the cosplaying heels. And this makes no sense. And I said, you know what? As soon as they hit the jump start and the four-way, I said, I've seen enough, because I can tell you what it's going to be. Every match that the Young Bucks have ever had. Except there was a difference. They now have mustaches. Did you see this? The Cucamonga Kids now have mustaches.
Did I see this? How could you miss this?
Well, it's because they were like Jerry Colonna, the old-time comedian. That's what it looked like. It looked like they've got a giant woolly worm on their face. I didn't think they were old enough to shave. Do you think, are they fake? Are they glued on? Don't you have to have testosterone to grow a mustache?
I agree they are fake, but I don't know about the mustaches.
Well, anyway, Jumpstart four-way, and I fast-forwarded. I had already been tipped off that Excrement, as we mentioned earlier in the program, was going to call Pie Face, but I wasn't going to sit through 20 minutes of this just to hear him use my material. So I zipped ahead 20 minutes and came upon Christian Cage and Jungle Boy. What did I miss?
You missed the entire match. Once again, Rick Knox, unable to do anything about anything. He is by far the worst referee in the business. And of course, the Young Bucks handpicked referee for all their matches. I said it before, I like them as heels just being themselves. Now it's become gimmicky. They're hamming it up too much and trying to be something they clearly aren't because they're trying to play a role that they clearly aren't.
Wait a minute, you mean their employer gave them a role to play?
There is a part of me that's starting to get a perverse joy out of Matt Jackson, just how bad he is. And someone's going to go, oh my God, the Young Bucks are the greatest, and he has all these things, and he does all these flips, and he can do a cannonball flip, and blah, blah, blah. No, but he sucks. Like, watch every step he takes and every movement. None of it is, I'm a professional wrestler. It's all, I'm performing. You know, Howard Baum on 605 not too long ago said something that I'm going to completely mess up because I don't remember if he said it was on a shirt that he saw or that someone mentioned it to him as a phrase. I thought he said it may have been on a shirt, but he was at some indie show in Florida. And the phrase that was repeated back to me was, wrestlers nowadays are just swole theater kids. And it really is true. These guys they're having fun. They're playing a role. Hey, we're going to get to be bad guy on TV. Let's be completely ridiculous and unbelievable. I just don't enjoy it.
Well, you said it earlier. When they were baby faces, they were so obnoxious and annoying because they're small children cosplaying their favorite wrestlers, whether it's the Randy Savage strut or the fucking whatever. They've taken something from everybody and they cosplay it because they're children. But when they were baby faces, when you were supposed to like them, they were so annoying and obnoxious because how can you cheer for these fucking children that are doing all this fake shit to everybody, and everybody's allowing it to happen because we know they're the vice presidents. So they started getting heat. So then they switch heel, and you can kind of dislike them still, but now for a reason, until they go so overboard with trying to be heels that they, again, as you said, come out the other side and they're playing heel now. And it's just all so phony and obnoxious. And
Cutler, too. I mean, as bad as they are, as silly as they are, him being there, as silly as he is, takes it to a whole nother degree.
Well, it adds to the whole silliness of the whole picture. You've got this fucking goof for no reason, shooting him with a video camera. You've got knock it the fuck off and get off my television, sitting in the front row with a headset on for some reason, like what is he, the official fucking, shoe shiner or whatever? I don't know, just some other flunky. It's all funniness. It's not, they never do anything serious to get any heat on the heels. They just become comedy foils. And that's everybody in all these skits is just a comedy foil. So I didn't miss much on the match, is what you're saying.
Well, you missed at one point. Cutler went to spray one of the baby faces, and the baby face moved, and he sprayed one of the Bucks. And very similar to that girl's reaction where she got sprayed in the face, and she just kept selling it by waving her arms in the air.
She was frozen into the block of corbamite or whatever that she couldn't.
So Cutler's now spraying his own guy in the face, and he just keeps spraying.
He won't stop either, right?
Stop.
Oh my God, I don't understand how to take my finger off this button.
It's so stupid. It's all so stupid. Kingston was good here. Can't say anything bad about him. I love Penta with Alex. Alex may be my single favorite guy in the entire promotion. What does that say about AEW?
And here's the goddamn Hispanic announcer for all the Hispanic people that can't speak English, and they give fucking Andre Oleo to Vicky Guerrero. And this fucking guy has a classic heat-getting face.
And I like him on the mic, and I like just the way he latches on to Penta and comes out with him and starts posing on the stage. It's ridiculous. It's like a fan being enabled. He's great. I wish he had done something during the match. He was just a non-entity once the match began. But of course, Penta and Kingston get the win, meaning next week, from Miami, they get a title shot against the Bucks.
So I got to skip the same match 2 weeks in a row.
No, next week, watch it.
Remember?
You're only allowed to skip one out of every 2 Bucks matches right now. All right,
remember when they used to have other wrestlers? Remember when somebody else besides the Young Bucks used to wrestle on this television program? FTR used to be a team, and they would wrestle every, couple of months? We haven't seen them in a long time.
I remember being so excited about FTR coming to AEW, not necessarily just for the Bucks match, but for the idea that they'll be able to have matches. I'll be able to watch these guys have matches on TV against anybody. I believe in these guys so much in the ring that I think you could put anyone in the ring with them, and it'll be the best tag team match that other team could have. I will never know if that's true or false because they don't wrestle.
Remember when I was very suspicious of your enthusiasm?
Yeah. And another note about the Bucks match. There have been Bucks matches I've really liked. I liked the Bucks and FTR. I liked the Bucks and Omega and Page. There are Bucks matches I've really liked. But so many of them, the majority of them, and this one on this show, they all seem to me as just a collection of moments in the middle of goofiness and silliness and bullshit. Like, there aren't any good, complete matches. There are moments, and then there's lots of moments where, and now that you have fans there, it becomes apparent again, people are just kind of like waiting for what's going to happen next. Yeah. As opposed to being really into the match. I'm not a big Bucks fan, but they've had good matches, but too much of their shit is just sloppy, disjointed, no rules, fucking tornado match garbage.
Can we just have some other team wrestle some matches for a few weeks just to as a palate cleanser so we don't have to watch these 2 kids every week? Anyway, Christian Cage is now the latest high-priced manager on the roster, I guess, because now he's Jungle Boy's manager. He's definitely doing his promos for him. 2 weeks in a row, Christian Cage has to sit down with Jungle Boy and tell Jungle Boy directly, and by extension, all of us listening in, how great Jungle Boy is and how he's going to do well. And Jungle Boy sits there. He almost snored once during this. He sits there and like he's in a goddamn brain fog, a soma coma, a medically induced coma, a hypnotic trance. And this time, Cage does his interview again, did it very well for him. And then here comes Dino Douche walking talking in his phony put-on voice. Like, I guess he's imitating a dinosaur. And Dwarf Dongsucker is standing in the back. And Christian Cage and Dino do dinosaur jokes. And then they all walk off and leave Jungle Boy sitting there like a bowl of unsugared oatmeal. What are they doing to this kid? We've said since they went on the air, this kid's got something. He can work, he can sell. He's the one guy they should announce at 100 and something pounds because that gets him sympathy. He's an underdog. He's a small guy fighting against the world. Get rid of the fucking dinosaur and the idiot genetic freak bopping around and push this kid, not like to make him beat everybody, but elevate him. And you've got something, but we forgot there's a drastic flaw in that strategy. Apparently, this guy couldn't say shit if he had a mouthful and couldn't say suey if the hogs had him, to use several of Mama Cornette's old favorite phrases. He's fucking boring as fuck. He won't speak. He has fire in the ring, visually, physically, but he can't fire up speaking. He won't even speak for himself. If he does, he sounds like he's in a trance. If this is this guy's personality, then they need to figure out some way. Well, I was about to say for him to never talk, but then you're infringing on Darby Allin's gimmick because apparently he fucking has about all the goddamn fucking fire of a lobotomy victim himself. These bland, babe, they can't be like this in real life. They just walk around and calmly just talk like this and don't say or do anything and don't tell jokes and don't chase pussy and don't fucking do anything colorful or exciting. He's chasing. He didn't have to chase the pussy. The pussy caught him. There's a picture of Jungle Boy making out with that. Which one is it? Anna J?
Anna J.
Okay.
Okay.
No, I mean, okay, certainly to God.
Certainly. To God.
One would think he's got a little bit of fucking bullshit about him if he can land her. Do girls these days, are they attracted to mush-mouthed mumblers who fucking sit around and fiddle on their phone in a corner all the time?
Maybe he has a hog in his pants. You never know.
Well, he ought to let it out. Those things can get fucking real. They got sharp teeth.
You know, early on in this segment, I kind of thought, like, you know, maybe they listened and they got it. Because Jungle Boy wasn't saying anything. He was just kind of grunting. I was like, you know what? That's progress. Don't let him talk at all. And then he started talking a little bit. And I was like, oh, you ruined it. Just don't let him talk. Just have that be the thing where everyone talks for him and he never says a fucking thing.
No, I don't think you have people doing his talking for him anyway. I think you just have the strong silent type. I don't know what else you can do. This guy's got to get some personality somewhere. Somebody show him some old fucking tapes of comedians or something in a previous generation where people actually had personalities.
But, you know, I'm watching this and I'm thinking, you know, it's not what I would do, but it's not terrible, all things considered, Christian talking to him. And then it just turns into a Raw comedy segment.
Yeah.
It turned into something you would see on Raw. Filmed the way it would be on Raw and as stupid as it would be on Raw.
Instead of getting Jungle Boy over, they made Christian Cage look like an idiot. They bring guys that start stars and then they tear them down rather than bring the stars in and have them build up the underneath guys. Because now there's Christian Cage doing dinosaur jokes with this fucking slug.
No. Dinosaur.
Okay, the dinosaur slug. Possibly even a fucking sloth. Who knows? And the midget jumping around, I don't know. Anyway, more on that later. When we get to the match, Tony Schiavone was in the ring with Scorpio Sky and the other Page. And I must have missed it if Scorpio Sky ever spoke a word, because we went right to the other Page. Remember, we were having a debate the other day, you and me. You were trying to get this weasel, this clown out of the hatred that I have for him.
The cellar, yeah.
Out of the cellar, out of the outhouse, by saying that, well, no, Impact appropriated his video and put it on pay-per-view without his knowledge. I was tweeted from one of the fine cult of Cornette members this idiot statement. By the way, he put a statement out on Facebook, and he didn't sign it. What's his name? Ethan Page. He signed it by his real name.
What's his real name? Julian.
He said it, love, Julian. A message to his fans on Facebook about how that, no, he thought that because of the inherent comic nature of him fighting himself in front of a green screen, that they should play it more seriously. But Impact edited it to put more comedy in. He actually thought, or at least claims now from his own chicken lips, that he wanted to fight himself in front of a green screen in a serious manner, not to be made out to be comedic. Fuck this guy. And here, he got out here, and you can tell he wants to be a goddamn movie star because he was screaming, doing a goddamn classic wrestling promo in his mind like a heel would do. He's a wannabe actor and entertainer playing a pro wrestler. And I didn't listen to any of this because, to quote his boss or one of his bosses, he can go fuck his ass. How's that? Go fuck your ass. That's a thing. That's a thing in Winnipeg. You say that up there in Winnipeg. That's where Jericho got it from. They're going to have a coffin match. The premise of this, upcoming with Darby Allin and the other Page, a coffin match. Can't say casket, I guess. Is that registered? Is that trademarked? The casket match?
Well, he does the coffin drop.
Well, yeah, but they're trying to rip off a more successful promotion here. But anyway, after the other page prattled on for a little while, blackout. Started snowing in the middle of the summer in Jacksonville. No wonder they're leaving Jacksonville. That kind of unpredictable weather. And guess who it was? It was Sting. We never would have dreamed it. Sting wheeled out a banquet table. At least that's what it didn't look like to you. Sting wheels out a long rectangular something covered in a white tablecloth that looked for all the world like a banquet table on wheels, and instantly the announcer said, "He's wheeling a coffin!" And Sting whipped off the sheet, and guess who jumped out of the coffin/banquet table that had no lid on it? Darby Allin. You can't get over by coming out of a box if the box doesn't have a lid on it. Why didn't they actually have a real coffin? If they're going to have a coffin match, why didn't they bring a coffin out and have him in it and have Sting fucking pull out a coffin and then open the lid and Darby Allin jump out? Why did they just have to find a fucking rectangular box with no lid on it and put a white sheet on it? $9.95 from fucking Target down the street, and then him just jump out of that fucking thing. Was that the stupidest looking thing you've ever seen in your life?
Well, I think Sting couldn't pull an actual coffin out there, and secondly, I think...
If it's on wheels?
Maybe they were trying to find a way to use the extra plywood from when Jericho fell off the cage.
First of all, Darby only weighs 160 pounds, so if the coffin's on wheels, what the fuck? Secondly, bullshit. Thirdly, bullshit. But anyway, Darby Allin comes out of the box, does not get over, and jumps in the ring and has a big schmoz gets all over Paige. And Sting, did you see Sting? As Darby Allin has jumped on Paige and Sky's trying to fucking get him off, Sting, his partner is in need, and Sting just calmly walks to the ring, steps through the ropes, and fucking grabs one of them from behind and gives him the scorpion death drop. But he couldn't even be motivated to rush. With friends like that, who needs enemas? So Sting drops Sky, and then Darby Allin, the babyface, instead of getting on top of Paige and just beating the shit out of him, grabs him from around the back of his head and is trying to gouge his eyes out, which does show animosity, but is, I would think, primarily a heel move. When's the last time you even saw Dusty Rhodes trying to get at Ole Anderson when it would never be over and have to be pulled off of Ole because he was trying to gouge his eyes out like a goddamn ex-girlfriend in a fit of pique? What you think about that one?
Well, let me just go back a step and say, with all understanding of why you feel the way you do, I like the promo from Ethan Page. I liked what he's done so far in AEW, not excusing anything in the past. But once Darby and Sting came out, I don't know. And then he goes for his eyes, and then I'm thinking, oh, okay, that's what they're going to do. It's kind of a heel move. But then he gets back on the mic, so it doesn't even incapacitate him. He gets back on the mic to modify the challenge match.
That was the best part. The guy has just had his eyes gouged out of his head, so when he gets away from the guy and rolls out, the first thing he's going to do is grab the microphone and cut a promo so we can see that there's not a scratch. There's not a fucking mark. And he gets the microphone and said, well, just for that, we're not going to have the match next week. I want a contract that Darby Allin cannot touch me for a week before our match, and then maybe we will have it at Fyter Fest. Where do I begin? What is happening here? Besides the fact that the heel has the power to just say, well, fuck it, I'm just going to postpone the match and I'll give it to you when I'm ready. He gets on the microphone after having his eyes gouged out and now decides he doesn't want to fight this guy yet, but he's on the sperm of the moment thought of, well, I'd like to have a contract signed where he can't touch me for a week before our match, and then we'll have a match, maybe. Not when it was announced before But at another show, possibly, because we didn't say this for sure, why did they even announce the fucking match for next week if they had to change it? Why didn't they just say that Darby Allin wants the fucking match and he's trying to chase Paige down, blah, blah, blah? I don't know. They could have said anything. Did any of this make any sense, or was it obviously not only pre-planned and set up beforehand, but the convoluted logic, the positions they had to get into would make a contortionist blush in order to reach this destination they got to? I don't understand.
Well, again, I like the promo. I didn't like anything else here. Like, no one knew what Sting was dragging. Who was going to be in there? What could it be? I have no idea. Of course it's Darby. I don't know. This has all been, again, they announced the coffin match last week.
But see, they knew because they had x-ray vision, because they knew it was a coffin, even though it looked like a fucking lunch table with a sheet over it. They could see right through the tablecloth to know that it was a coffin, so they knew Darby was inside of it.
You missed it because you skipped over his segment last week. I think it was a promo with Ethan Page, but it was just out of nowhere. I challenged you to a coffin match. And then this week on the show, it was, I challenged you to a coffin match, then it was, can't have it yet, but if you don't touch me for a week, we can have it in the future. Again, this goes under the bad booking umbrella.
Maybe he'll just continue touching him so that he doesn't have to have it at all.
This goes under the bad booking umbrella.
A coffin match. Bullshit.
See your coffin.
Yeah. You know, did you ever hear about this? I saw this on the news. This happened in Louisville. They were having a funeral, and the church was up on top of the hill. And as the pallbearers come out of the goddamn front of the church, right, carrying the coffin, as they're starting to go down these long, steep front stairs, the person in front trips, and it becomes a domino effect. And everybody goes down, and that coffin hits the stairs and starts sliding down those front stairs. And it's so high up there on that hill, by the time it gets to the bottom, it's still going. It goes across the fucking sidewalk. It goes across the entire street. It goes across the other sidewalk on the other side and goes straight through the front window of a drugstore. And it comes to rest right at the fucking pharmacist's counter, and the lid popped open, and the corpse popped out and said, "Hey, man, you got anything to stop this coffin?" So anyway, next, Jericho plugged his book. You know, that would be great to write down a book with the dates of all your matches and the result and everything. Wonder where he got that idea from.
Whatever match, remember they picked a random date and he looked up the match and he got it right away? Whatever he said, he says he wrestled 4.5 stars. And I'm thinking, who the fuck gave him that rating for that match? I don't know about that.
Well, also, Excrement said Paige, or gave him a date, and Jericho didn't even have to flip the pages. He just opened it to the pre-marked. Yeah.
I read what this book is.
That quick in my own book.
I read what this book is. It sounds like Jericho is looking for an excuse to put a book out. It's a list of his matches, apparently compiled by Alex Marvez. And then various other people list their top 10 favorite Jericho moments and matches.
Yes.
It's basically everyone below me in my own book. You write the content about how great I am for my own book.
At least I took care of that, writing about how great I was in my own book.
That's right.
But nevertheless, and I didn't put any star ratings down yet.
The point is, don't waste your money, folks.
Next up, Matt Hardy did a lackluster promo that sounded like he had memorized it. So now the guys that have been in the business 20 years are memorizing their promos and giving them with a very sparse amount of emotion. But the premise here is he's sending none other than Botch Evans to fuck up Jungle Boy. And I got to be honest with you, if I was going to send a wrestler to hurt an opponent, Evans would be high on my list. Because, I mean, anything could happen with this guy. And then we have the match. And Jungle Boy just had a match with the world champion. Jungle Boy is supposed to be being pushed. Jungle Boy already has people doing his speaking for him because he can't do that. But now they put him against a guy even smaller than him who has never won a match, probably ever in life, but certainly not on this television. And they not only go 2 segments through a break, but then have an afterbirth and a schmoz that does nothing for Jungle Boy. So I'm a bit perplexed as to how they think that any of this is going to help him. He tried to put some wrestling in this, but there was a lot of cheerleading routines because that's all Evans can do, as we know, and he can't do that well. And whenever somebody gets in a ring with him, for whatever reason, even if they're a pushed commodity and they know that he is just there to get them over, at least I can't imagine the Booker of the Year not explaining in these exact words, Jungle Boy, Jack Evans, got 7 minutes. Jack, you're here to get him over. Get a little steam, give him his comeback. Boom, he's going to hit you with his finish. That should be the instructions from the Booker on that. That's all they need. But yet, when they don't get specific instructions, the opponent for Evans feels the need to do entertaining comedy, juggling, and gymnastics. So this was... Jungle Boy is good, and he can sell, and he's got great body language. Evans's basics are shit. He can't even hit the ropes, but he tries all the off-kilter shit that looks awkward, and Buzz kills the idea of a contest. And that's what they did in the first half. And then after the break, Jungle Boy has fire in the ring, as I mentioned. Just he sleepwalks through life, I guess. But they did some horse shit on the top turnbuckle that looked awkward, that always, whenever 2 guys are fighting over who's going to stand up on the top rope and give a move, it's ludicrous. You can tell that obviously they're cooperating with each other to hold themselves up there. That's whoever it is, not just these 2 guys. This was fairly egregious. And then Jungle Boy tried a superplex, but Evans dropped to the ring underneath him and went to give him, and Jungle Boy had to stay there. Leaned over, facing away from the ring with his feet on the second rope, leaned over the top turnbuckle. He had to stand there after Evans had dropped down into the ring. He just froze in that position so Evans could go out in the middle of the ring, run toward him, jump up and waist lock him to try to German suplex Jungle Boy off the top rope so that Jungle Boy could do a backflip and land on his feet in the ring because, of course, it was obvious Evans didn't throw him. He barely made contact with him. He was just waiting there to do the backflip because that was the spot. It was awkward as fuck. It was way too complicated to do well or in any way make look real. And then something happened and Jungle Boy got the snare trap. Submission. That should have been after 5 minutes, but it was more like 10 or 12. Longer, it seemed like. And then immediately, like you fucking shot the starter's gun and let the horse gate open. Here they go. They're off. Immediately, Matt Hardy, Private Party, Dwarf Dongsucker, Dino the douchebag, Christian Cage all hit ring and ringside area and brawl everywhere. And Christian Cage gets on Matt Hardy and tries to rip his suit off, doesn't get much of it. That would have been a great place to fucking do an old-time wrestling angle. Matt Hardy's all dressed up in a suit, Christian Cage, just the 2 of them in the ring, and Christian Cage rips it all off, a la Flair and Steamboat. But instead, he ripped it slightly, and then Jack Evans got back in to, on purpose, did you see his bump that he just was dead set on taking no matter what happened to him?
Yeah.
Botch Evans gets back in, and Cage throws a couple of punches at him, and Evans is going back to the rope, and he's already reached back. I invite everybody to go back and watch this video. He's already reached back and grabbed the top rope, and Cage is throwing a couple of punches at him, but he wants to go backwards over the top. And finally, Cage hits him with another punch, and he takes that ridiculous, exaggerated backwards over the top. It was almost like he got his toe stomped and flew backwards over the top rope. Because that was the bump that he was determined to take when he got back in that fucking ring, regardless of what was given to him or what happened to him or how he was struck or hit or whatever. He's going to take that bump. Because that's the way these guys fucking think. It doesn't matter what's going on around me or whether it's applicable to the situation or makes any sense or logic whatsoever. I can take this cool bump. Ha! Anyway, that was that. Did I miss anything that caught your eye?
Not really. I mean, as soon as you involve Matt Hardy in a segment, it loses my interest. It just seems like it's right out of, I don't know, Impact or something. I hate that Christian Cage has been dragged down. I think, despite the fact they're already teasing him in Omega, like they're teasing everyone in Omega at this point, I just don't think it does Christian Cage any favors to have him and Matt Hardy doing stuff together in 2021. One of them seems like he's an older guy holding on, and one of them, I don't know. Whatever. I wouldn't have done that. I did have the thought.
Christian seemed like he was motivated when he came in, and he had somewhat of a fucking feel-good story that he was coming out of retirement, and now he's just a guy hanging around talking for other people.
He just wanted to work. It wasn't just that he wanted to do good work. The segment with him and Dinosaur, I'm forgetting his name, Luchasaurus, that was bad comedy. I mean, that's the same kind of stuff he would have been doing on Raw, and he did it here. So it's obviously that's not what the problem is. I did have the thought during this, if they could figure out what to do with Jungle Boy and do it correctly, because a lot of the stuff you need is there. The fans are into him. The fans are singing that song. Imagine if everything went right and one of these heels, went to cut that hair.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what I thought during this match. That was my other thought.
I would love to see that. I would love to see them try, and I'd love to see them get a little, and then I'd love to see him fight to get revenge. And I would love to see him bleed real good. Jungle Boy bleeding real good while trying to fight to get the revenge for having his hair cut, the manhood stripped away from him. That would be something.
If they hadn't have fucked up MJF, that would have been perfect. Oh. And so many people thought, the future MJF and Jungle Boy. And then I don't know which guys. Well, I do know which guy's been handled worse, but both guys haven't been handled well.
Well, the guy that's been handled worse is just up next. Poor MJF. As a matter of the first words that I wrote on my notepad when he was giving this pre-tape promo, MJF is amazing. I can't believe they have botched this so bad. He has no credibility as a wrestler because he never wrestles. He never gets any heat and keeps it. He never gets any heat on his own. It's always with the help of someone else. That's wonderful to rely on the manager or the teammates or whatever for extra heat, but not when you can't do anything by yourself. This was an incredible promo. The facials, the material, and it's all his. The delivery, the attitude that this guy has is almost unique now, and this TV show has been on the air for almost 2 years, and he should be far and away the most talked about guy in the wrestling business. He should be the one sitting in on commentary anytime he goddamn wants to. He should be the one. We have to suffer through 20 minutes of the grade school kids every week. MJF on this television program should have had a 4 or 5 minute win every week. Every week. Go out there and let him fucking cut a promo before his match for 2 minutes and then beat somebody in 4 or 5 week after week after week, and then put him in the fucking big stone, put him in any of the goddamn shit he's been in. Don't flush his head in the toilet. Don't have him doing a song and dance routine with a fucking chubby, fat, goddamn Sebastian Bach wannabe. Push this guy. He would be today the most over heel on the television program and one of the most talked about guys in the business for all the things that he can do instead of the things that he shouldn't have done or that he's not ever allowed to do. You get sick of these fucking cosplaying clowns and you never see the wrestlers. I wonder why. Because the cosplaying clowns that comprise the majority of the executive vice presidents don't want these guys to be seen because they can't talk like them. They can't work like them. They can't fucking get over like them. All they can do is their goddamn gymnastics for their little fucking fan club. They can't make it in mainstream wrestling. They can't make it in front of large numbers of people. A guy like this could, but he's not allowed to because he's too good. Anyway, are you still there, by the way?
I am.
All right. Well, then you know what came up next? They just gave Andre Olio to Vicky Guerrero, but she's wrestling in a mixed tag, and I mean, they're all women, but manager-wrestler match in this program. So guess who's out there for the Andre Olio interview? Alex, the interpreter. But he's just interviewing Andre, but he's not translating for him because for the first time in history, ladies and gentlemen, we have English subtitles on the interviews for a guy when he's speaking Spanish and when he's speaking English. He's speaking English, they're still putting in subtitles. So yeah, he needs a manager. And they gave him Vicky Guerrero when this fucking Alex guy is sitting right there. But it doesn't matter anyway, because usually only top talent have managers, and this guy is already in a fucking program with a job guy. Remember last week, who was it? Somebody came to the ring for a match, and then Andre and Vicky come out and start cutting a promo on the stage, and they play Matt Seidel's music and interrupt him, and Matt Seidel goes to the ring because that's the match, Matt Seidel versus whoever. And I thought, okay, well, this will be pretty good whenever Andre comes back out and kicks the shit out of both of them. We never saw him again. They actually went 10 minutes with a match with two job guys, and one job guy won the match. Now, after he's had a week to think about it, Andre Olio is madder than a wet hornet, and he is challenging Matt Seidel for a match next week. Do you remember when Ric Flair got mad at George South for interrupting his interview at TBS Studios, and he challenged him for a match the following week? You don't remember that, do you, Brian?
Of course not.
Of course not. Jesus Christ! Just have an interview with this guy and let him try to get over. Let Alex try to get him over. He's challenging a job guy. Just say, well, you're booked next week against Matt Seidel. Good. And I'll beat him in about a minute and a half because he disrespected me last week. When you've got the guy out there actually, I challenge him for next week, you're not putting Matt Seidel, as he's been presented, on the level of Andre. You are putting Andre on the level of Matt Seidel. Anyway, the rapid hair growth on many of the executive vice presidents continued in the next segment. Poor Tony Schiavone. He has to get in and out of the ring a lot. I wonder if they're ribbing him. Probably trying to blow him up. This time, he's got an interview in the ring. Kenny Olivier with no Don. Where was Don Callis? He wasn't there at all. Wasn't even a gimmick. He just wasn't there.
Scarlet fever.
I hope he gets some antibiotics for that. But now, apparently, Kenny Olivier has the Triple H sideburns going into the mustache. Remember that from 20 years ago when Triple H used to do it?
I remember when Ole Anderson used to do it.
That's, actually, you're right. But it just that Kenny Olivier looks so little like Ole Anderson in any way. I got to be honest with you. The first thing when I saw him walk out, I said, he has glued pubic hair to his face. And then I started wondering whose pubic hair it was. Are they trying to look stupid instead of heat getting? Is this heat to the modern audience? Is it heat like, you have silly hair, I'm going to hate you? Is that where, because they're all so fucking easy to offend these days.
There is no heat. There is no heat. I mean,
if you're a modern person, one of these modern people that we hear about, that apparently a lot of these wrestlers are, that like to sit there and stare at their phone and stare into space and have no personality, to offend people, will that do it? Is that like me? You got funny hair.
No, it doesn't do it.
These days?
Has facial hair ever been more socially acceptable than it is today in the last 100 years? Probably not. I don't think that's the issue.
Then why are they growing funny-looking hair to act like heels?
I think the problem is, and again, Omega's another one of these guys, although we'll talk about the promo in a minute, where, like the Bucks, kind of, okay, he's a heel. All you got to do is just turn the switch, make him heel. But now he's become so cartoonish and over the top, and I think all the facial hair are just these guys, the Bucks and Omega. Even if you're one of their big fans and you enjoy their matches, you can't tell me that they are in any way believable in any fashion as the wrestling characters they portray. And they're just being goofy and silly because they think this is what wrestling is. And this is all they could do. They can't all of a sudden just come out there and be serious people and have anyone care about them at all. So they're putting on these Nickelodeon or Disney Channel heel characters, and they're all silly, and it comes across silly.
You're proving my point for me. I said a long time ago, the reason why that the Bucks and Olivier and a few of these others do what they do is because they cannot get over the right way, the proper way, the regular way, by being good at what they do. They can't be believable, kick-ass personalities that people want to pay to see unless they do all the cheerleading and the flipping and have their own referee and make up their own rules and do all that shit, and then they get some subset of the populace to support them for that. But no, they're the only way that they get over is by making the profession that they are in look like a goddamn clown show. That's how they get over, and it ruins it for everybody else that actually has the talent to do things the proper way. And speaking of which, having the talent to do things the proper way, since there was no Don Callis, we got the full, breathy phone sex delivery, the whole outfit dressed like he's on the board of directors of a massage parlor. The dramatic, emoting like he's, in front of the footlights. And basically, he said no one is left to challenge him, so his work is done, and he's going to take time off. And I started to cheer for the first time something that he said. He was going to take time off. And then here comes the dork order. Think about this now, folks. This is supposedly the world champion of this company, the most protected belt in wrestling. And he has to stand there. Shivani's disappeared by this point, and he has to stand there while 7 of these discount, interchangeable, substandard, great value brand job guys come out with Pizzeria Uno leading the charge, speaking in his best high school growl. When when you're a kid whose voice hasn't changed yet with puberty, but you want everybody to know you're serious, you kind of keep it like that. That's what he was doing. And they suggest that Adam Page should get a shot. So Adam Page, the rising star babyface, has a bunch of job guys coming out and do his talking and his challenging for him. And by the way, did you notice that Pizzeria Uno's suit jacket looked like he'd had it stored in his wallet for the past 3 days? He was a human wrinkle.
I did not notice that.
I couldn't take my eyes off. I mean, it's not like the jacket was just wrinkled. It's like the fucking lapels. And I mean, I've had a lot of suit jackets dry cleaned, and those lapels, they get stiff and they won't bend. And it was all over the place. It was like he was wearing a goddamn handkerchief from somebody's back pocket. Anyway, Olivier just blows him off, bids him adieu, turns his back on him, and does his thing. And I say to you, good night. And then does his finger bang. Bang! Like it was a fucking mic drop by Chris Rock, and the people farted at it. It wasn't even a good fart. It was a popcorn fart. It was a goddamn asparagus fart. It didn't even make any noise. It just stunk. And they played his music, and he walked off. Horrible. Horrible laid out, horrible material, horrible people involved in it. This is the world champion in their company, and he's interacting with these people. Comments?
Yeah, I got some comments, but first I have a question. I've never thought of this before, and I've never asked this question of anyone. We all know of asparagus pea, but do asparagus farts, is that a thing? Asparagus farts?
I get them.
You get Oh, I don't want to go too deep into this.
Pee is bad, but asparagus fart and also chocolate farts.
What? Well,
I get chocolate farts.
I don't want to hear about whatever your chocolate farts are. If
I eat a lot of chocolate after dinner or whatever I eat, then I get a fart that smells like whatever I ate for dinner covered in chocolate.
All right. Well,
I can fart the first part of a Three Musketeers bar while I'm chewing the last. That's how chocolate hits me, right? But I don't do a lot of chocolate. It's got caffeine in it.
There's about to be some chocolate vomit over here in New Jersey. But back to the segment.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to disagree with you here in one sense. I thought this was the best Omega promo I've seen in the States. I thought, you know, he comes across douchey and everything, and he was doing that somewhat well. Now, look, he's doing it against the Dark Order. So It's not like you could sit down and take this seriously. It's all a show and it's all silliness. I actually thought this was one of the stronger Omega promos ever. I'm not saying it was great, and I'm not saying he's a good heel or a realistic heel, but out of all the promos I've heard from him, I thought this may have been the best one in AEW.
Of all the promos I've heard from this may have been the best one.
And this was the most recent, yes.
Yes, this was This was certainly one of them. Well, that's like being the nicest guy in prison. Anyway, speaking of good promos, though, Brian Pillman Jr., pre-tape, short to the point, good babyface promo, decent material, delivered well with a promise to fucking succeed in his quest. It's not that fucking difficult. And he seemed genuine when he was saying those things. And they follow it up with the TNT title match with Brian Pillman Jr. against, and I said, are we going to see Bluto or Miro this week? You never know. Sometimes you'll see Bluto the monster, and sometimes you'll see Miro the fucking clown. But we had mostly Bluto, or mostly Miro in this one. I don't know which one is the clown and which one's the fucking you can't even tell. He was serious this time.
Well, if you remember, there was Bluto, but there was also Brutus when they stopped using the name Bluto, and also in the foreign markets.
Well,
so maybe he's Miro and Bluto and Brutus.
Maybe he's just schizophrenic. Brian opened up aggressive on this, but Miro's a stronger guy. So Brian's trying to fire up, but Miro's able to shove him back, keep him at bay. Brian's ducking and dodging. I think Miro fucked up a backdrop. I'm not sure. I'm glad Pillman's okay. It may have been because I had to go back and watch it. He shot Brian in the corner. Brian was coming out, and he bent over, and Brian went to take a backdrop, and then Miro fell down flat with him. I think he was going for a one-person flapjack, which I've seen some guys do, and it's fucking stupid, and it would scare me to death. I don't know why they do. Have you seen the one person do a flapjack?
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's fucking stupid. And by God, I'm going to be territorial on this one because I've invented the fucking flapjack. It only makes sense if there's two of you. The way that it's performed, because the genesis of it was, I said, what about instead of doing a double backdrop, what about if they shot the guy off and picked him straight up and then fell backwards? It'd be kind of like an upside down vertical suplex and not a double backdrop. And we played with it. At first, we shot the guy off, and I think was it Bobby and Dennis first? Maybe it's Bobby and Stan. I think Stan was here by the time we did the flapjack. But anyway, you bend over, and when the guy comes at you, he puts his hands on each one of your inside shoulders, and you grab each of his legs, one on one side, one on the other side, and pick him straight up. And when he goes straight up, then you fall backwards. It was originally two motions. Because I was like, well, once he goes up, he's got to get acclimated for a second, and then you go face forward. But then we realized, well, taking him up and stopping, and then can we do it in one motion? And the fucking deal was, then we would tell the job guys who we tried it out on, then later guys like Bobby Fulton who, would take it. When you get shot off, you're coming in just like a double backdrop, but once you post up on those shoulders, look up like you would take a backdrop, but as you're going over flat, don't put your hands out to catch yourself because you're liable to break your wrists. Either take the fucking bump face first, but on your forearms, or like you would take a post with one arm tucked in and your head turned and the other one out to the side of your face. And that way guys wouldn't get hurt. But if you had to arch your back well, because if you were coming off the ropes and when they bent down to get you, if you just put your hands on their shoulders and your head is going straight over, then you're about to get spiked face first. That's where the fucking arch of the back comes in to fucking get you going up straight so you can go over. But there's no way to realistically do a one-person flapjack, because it doesn't make, that means that the guy that is being flapjacked is just jumping with it and going straight over, because there's no, it's like a billiard shot. The angle isn't right. If you grab a guy running straight towards you by one leg and pick him straight up, he's not going to go straight over your back, right? He's going to go sideways. It doesn't work. Do you see what I'm saying? Geometrically. But they do it anyway because they don't know what the fuck that the flapjack was or where it came from to begin with, and it's supposed to be a tag team move. So, back to this, Miro may have been going to do a one-person, one-armed flapjack, but he almost fucking flipped Brian over, who was taking a backdrop, and fucking landed him on his head. I don't know what the fuck was going on there. But anyway, in this match, Brian sold and fought from underneath, and Miro stayed on him, and he was serious. They went through a break, which wasn't bad here because you've got a baby face that you can kind of buy into. He's not visually ridiculous. But then when they come back from the break, Miro, the heel, was leading the cheers of the fans to count as he gave the babyface broad arms across the ropes. Did you see that part?
I did see that, yes.
What the I know this guy's been in the WWF his whole fucking life, and he doesn't know a lot, but he ought to know better than that. He's encouraging the fans to cheer for him, the heel, as he bashes the babyface. Anyway, Pillman fought up into a fucking comeback, and then finally, boom, 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 sprang Miro's neck, had him out on the apron, and did the drop kick off the buckle like his dad. Great facials and emotion. He did that missile drop kick all the way through the ropes and fired up big with the people who were cheering. They were behind him. And he tries to start making a comeback on Miro on the floor. Did you, after the missile drop kick and the fire up, you saw that, right?
Yeah.
He goes all the way through the ropes, lands on his feet, kicked the shit out of Miro, fires up the people. You heard the people. They were loud. Now is the point, because Miro knows he's going to beat this guy anyway, and it's not going to be too long. He's going to beat him. Now Miro should have fucking fed him for a big comeback. But the exact opposite. Brian's trying to make a comeback. Miro kept turning away because he's a klutz and he's fucking awkward and he doesn't know what he's doing. Pillman tried to give him a backhand chop on the floor, but fucking Miro had turned away. So Pillman punches him again. Miro wasn't feeding him. He was just taking a shot and staggering around. A real veteran heel there would have taken 1, 2, 3 shots. Shoot me into the goddamn barricade. Boom. Oh, my God. Boot me in the gut. Shovel my shoulder into the post. Give me a fucking comeback. And he would have been there for it. But that squashed a bigger reaction that the crowd would have given Pillman if he could have kept up the momentum from that fire up on that missile drop kick if Miro had known how to feed for this. Anyway, Pillman hits 2 super kicks, went for another one. Miro caught it barely, because that's hard to fucking time, spun his leg around and kicked him, and then kicked him again. He could have hit the 2 super kicks, and Miro could have been fucking staggering and rubber-legged, because he didn't go down, because he's the beast, the monster, and he didn't go down from 2 super kicks, but he was rubber-legged. And at that point, if Brian had just hopped right out and gone for a fucking springboard that he does all the time anyway, and let that fucking Miro catch him out of midair and power slam him, boom, 1, 2, 3, that would have been great. That would have elevated Brian Pillman. But instead, 2 super kicks, goes for one. The heel catches his foot, does a do-si-do spot that looks awkward, kicks him in the head, then kicked him again in the head, and then got his shitty fucking hold, the glorified camel clutch, and beat him flat. Again, just because you've read on the internet, Booker of the Year, that all these top heels are supposed to win with their finish because it makes them strong, he's won plenty with his finish. In this instance, you were trying to elevate the young guy. He had a comeback going. He should have had it pulled out from under him real quick and beaten 1, 2, 3 with a decisive move out of nowhere. And then people are like, oh, goddamn, he almost got him. But as it was, Miro looking right at him, caught his foot, did some phony shit, kicked him twice in the head, sat on him, and choked him out. Just beat him flat. Pissed in his mouth while he's down there, why don't you? Keep going with the momentum when you've got the people and the babyface has the people on the comeback and they're with him. Pull the rug out from under him and beat him. Boom, 1, 2, 3, and now you've got something. Don't just beat him flat, that's what it turned into here. You could have pinned him either after the first kick you caught him with, instead of just gratuitously kicking him again and then putting that shitty hold on, or you could have caught him coming off the rope to give you the coup de grace with something else and planted him, and it would have been believable, and it would have got a bigger fucking reaction. But they have to telegraph everything. After the second kick, when he was winding up for the hold, everybody knew what was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. Flat. What'd you think?
I had a lot of thoughts about this one. Let me start with, both guys looked like wrestlers.
Yes.
In there. When you watch this match, those guys physically would have fit into any recent generation. They look like
any generation. Even Brian's big enough now, and he's put together well enough that he would have worked anytime.
They look like wrestlers. That's a positive. I'm not against the idea of Miro getting wins like this. I think he needs them. I think this is when he's used effectively. I'm completely dead set against it being against Brian Pillman Jr. here. This is a kid who got into the wrestling business pretty late, all things considered. And I have to admit, early stuff I saw of him, not very impressive to me. He had a look, but I didn't see much in the ring. And
he was starting from complete scratch.
And boy, is he improved. And he looks good. And he carries himself well in the promo. And there's a great story. And people want to cheer for him. And he looks like a wrestler. He's in great shape. He has good haircut. I don't know if I'm going to be criticizing people's hairdo, but he looks like a wrestler and he talks like a wrestler. And there's a story there, and the dark side just aired, and people want to like him. And I think we just saw Jungle Boy get his big chance, and he lost. Now here's Pillman. They built it up like this is his big opportunity, his big chance TNT title, and he lost. Give Miro wins like this over someone else. Pillman Jr. has something, and right now is the time to start capitalizing on it because he looks really good, and
they ain't going to rerun that Dark Side of the Ring special any longer. Strike while the iron is hot. Idiots.
I'm very impressed. I got to admit, more and more, every time I see him on the mic, in the ring, Brian Pillman Jr. is quickly becoming one of the few people in AEW I seek out. I want to watch. There are guys on his show I don't want to see. I want to see him.
He's a baby face that you can actually kind of believe in and feel sorry for rather than one of these silly, interchangeable kids that nobody cares.
You know what? I hadn't even thought of it in that way. You're 100% right. He's one of the very few baby faces there you could believe in as a baby face.
Yeah. Imagine that. If you're one of the only people at your job that people look at you and say you should have that job, maybe you should fucking get more opportunities. But anyway. If I was Adam Page, Brian, I'd be ticked off at those job guys running out there trying to do my talking for me. And apparently so was Page, because we were lucky enough to be with Officer Barbrady in the back in the Dork Orders corner of the goddamn storage room. I don't know where they hang out, wherever it is they've always hung out. We were lucky enough to be there right when Adam Page burst in, mad at him for making his challenge for him and speaking for him. And then the entire Dork Order suddenly turned into Adam Page's emotional support group, and Colt analyzed Page, told him he was afraid of failure, but they had his back and he could do this, gave a little rah-rah speech and walked off and left him standing there with his apple juice cocktail. So now is Adam Page back to being a sullen drunk with a lack of confidence? Or what? Or is he just still a drunk? Why this fucking guy? Everybody wanted him to be the fucking next champion when they went on the air. All they had to do was just not fuck it up. Just let him go out there and do his cowboy shit and beat people. But instead, they fucking made him a tag team with Twinkle Toes. They made him a sullen, unreliable drunk. Then they have grouped him with the most egregiously cheesy and cheap and untalented group of miscellaneous job guys that has ever been put together by a major promotion. And now they're the ones that's trying to fucking cheer him up. Who has Adam Page pissed off in this company that they are treating him like this, and he apparently doesn't even know that they are sabotaging his probably best chance ever at a major league national wrestling career?
They think they're doing it right.
All righty then. And next match. Taz was there with Hook and Powerhouse Hobbs talking about how rough it's been because Brian Cage and Ricky Starks have issues with each other, but they're going to have a match in Austin, Texas in a few weeks. Starks and Cage. My team is breaking up, but I don't care. Let him work it out. That's the way it was Taz's. He has no problem with it whatsoever. Why are they mad at him now? Why do they want him to be involved in this foolishness? Taz, we're going to give you a group of guys, including your own son, that are going to be the most incompetent, feckless motherfuckers that have ever been seen. They can't beat anybody. They'll be run off by every AARP member in sight, and then we'll break them up and have them fight with each other. Did I miss anything?
I can't explain it. I've said it week after week. I think Taz is great. I like Team Taz. Hobbs has a world of potential. I don't know what the fuck Hook does, but he's there.
He hooks.
Ricky Starks, I was under the impression he's going to be out for a long time. If he's coming back to wrestle Cage, that's great. Congratulations.
Well, maybe not. Because he had a broken fucking neck. That was, 2 months ago? They dropped him on his head?
Adam Page.
So, I guess he's, this may be a swerve. Maybe they won't have the match. It's not like that would be the first time.
Taz could be like the fucking Skandar Akbar of AEW. You know what I mean? Just like that central heel manager who always has a stable, always going after the belts, and be really effective in that role. Great promos. I don't know why they have him with the fucking gang that can't shoot straight. And it's not really against the people as much as the way the people are booked.
Yeah, well, no, Hobbs is as I mentioned on the drive-through this past week, is my pick for the fucking biggest star out of this whole bunch. After I saw him actually have a one-on-one match, now that he's got a touch of experience, I think he's a fucking superstar. But not in this group, not with this booking. And I'm like you. I think Taz would be, but Skandar Akbar had grown men to work with. And he had Bill Watts or Ken Mantell or Bill Dundee or any number of Buck Robley or any number of people booking him.
He was seen as a threat.
Hey kids, let's put on a show.
That's the thing. You can make him look like a fool. The fans got to laugh at Akbar. They got to cheer when Akbar got to be made to look like a fool or lose. But it meant something because he was a threat. Not because he was someone you didn't take seriously. Then it wouldn't have meant anything. You need the heel to seem like he is a threat, even though you can eventually get to that moment where you laugh at him. Because then you're going to hate him again because he's a threat.
And what's he going to do about this? He's going to come back and do something. You know he will. Or like Taz, well, it'll be okay. They'll have a fight and they'll settle things. No problem. Anyway, speaking of problems, I feel some responsibility for this because I laughed last week when they advertised this match. I said, why would they do this? And somebody's going to get hurt. I just didn't imagine it would be the second youngest person in the fucking match, I think. Or at least the second best looking. Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero in a mixed tag against Britt Baker and Reba. And obviously, as I said, it's a mixed tag because it's a manager and wrestler against a manager and wrestler. I know what everybody's, well, and most people's current gender are. Anyway, it's still a mixed tag match. Why did at first I was like, why are they doing this to Vicky Guerrero? She's not a wrestler. She's never been a wrestler. She's, I assume, in her early 50s. And why put her in this position? I was afraid she might get hurt because some of these other people involved, it's not past them that they've hurt people before. And the first thing that happened, the very first thing in the match was Reba pushed Vicky and she really fell down without meaning to. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah. I watched this match pretty closely because I hate to say it, but I felt something was going to happen.
Something was going to happen.
I knew it. I just knew it.
And so Reba pushes Vicky and she got off balance and fell down on her ass. And then, of course, Jericho, who's still doing commentary. Boy, he was a lot more entertaining the first few weeks of COVID. Vicky got shoved on her duff. But besides the fact that you couldn't figure out what the fuck to think about this match, because who are the heels? Who are you supposed to cheer for? Whose side were you supposed to be on? Who did you want to see win this? This was foolish from the start to put this together. You've got a heel champion and her manager against a heel challenger and her manager. Marks would think, oh, well, that makes it perfect. No, it makes it where nobody gives a shit except to watch in case somebody's going to do something horribly dangerous, awkward, clumsy, and get hurt. Nyla Rose beat Reba up. Britt Baker wouldn't tag in. They tagged Vicky in right as they went to break, and I never watched the picture-in-picture because it's so minute and there's no commentary, but what the fuck? I'm going to keep an eye on this. During the picture-in-picture, they tagged Vicky in, and Reba got her hands on Vicky, but Nyla Rose was out. Vicky's not only partner, but also her big wrestler, was out on the floor pulling a table out from under the ring for no apparent reason, while the manager is getting beat up. Except she wasn't getting beat up because Reba got her hands on Vicky, but they did almost nothing, almost completely nothing, and then Vicky just walked over and tagged out, and then Nyla Rose, who had pulled the table out, gets back in the ring and gets a hold on Reba and keeps it for the rest of the picture-in-picture. And then there was none for about a minute while there was more commercials. And when they came back on the air, boy, the old Rodney Dangerfield line, I've never seen dead people sitting up before. I know you're out there. I can hear you breathing. Dead silence in the arena, and Nyla is still on poor Reba. And then Britt Baker tagged in when Nyla was down, thinking that she could get the advantage, but Nyla chokeslammed her, then set her up on the ropes where she's hanging, Britt's hanging by her waist over the top rope with her head in the ring, and Nyla Rose did that thing where she goes up and does the knee drop to the back of the head off the top rope onto the person hanging on the rope. Did that look really good to you, Brian?
Well,
it looked really convincing to me.
Really good is an interesting way of putting it. I've seen her do that move before to like Riho, but it's a big size difference, and she just wiped her out. I've never seen, again, I didn't have a close-up, but it looked like her knee hit the back of her head right where it connects with the neck. It looked stiff as fuck to me, but again, I'm not a wrestler. But that looked, I've seen her wipe people out and hit it hard before. That looked really bad. I thought Britt was fucked up. It
looked good, as we say in the bit. It looked good, all right. Yeah, it looked about 16 stitches worth of good. That's what I told Dundee one time. Anyway, So she covers her, and Reba makes the save, and apparently I didn't diagnose the injury from looking at the video. That's been out that she dislocated her kneecap, but you could watch as she came in the ring. She took 3 purposeful steps to go for that save, and on the second one, it looked like her leg gave out. So it was a Nash running across the ring. Instead of quad, it was a fucking kneecap dislocation. And she went down and stayed there. And while she's laying there, and Nyla Rose tries to pick her up, and she says something to Nyla Rose, I assume along the lines of, I can't fucking get up. And so Nyla Rose just drags her to the apron, and everybody just ignores her and goes about the rest of the finish while she's laying there unable to fucking stand up. Nyla Rose, and they had this finish, would have been horrible if it was performed by competent professionals, but this was especially rotten. Nyla Rose goes to the top rope like she's going to jump off onto Britt Baker, but Vicky Guerrero grabs Britt's feet. But Vicky has her back to Nyla Rose. So what she was going to do, we don't have any idea because there was nothing that was possible for her to do in that position. But Britt Baker kicks Vicky backwards. She knocks Nyla Rose off the top rope. And then Vicky falls forward in what looked like an attempted drop toe hold, and Britt Baker pinned her, and it looked as phony as a football bat. And then Nyla Rose attacks Britt Baker and gives her a power bomb while Reba is still laying there. Now the doctor has come over and is attending to her after about a minute or so. She's still laying there, and then Vicky Guerrero is up and tells Nyla Rose, powerbomb Britt Baker off the apron through the table. Remember the table that Nyla Rose had set up 10 minutes ago, and it was not needed and never came into play, and it was completely fucking nonsense? This was the reason for the nonsense. 10 minutes ago, she knew that she was going to powerbomb Britt Baker through that table. Fuck this phony shit. Fuck it. So now she power bombs Britt Baker off the apron through a table to the floor. And now not only the heel women's champion, but her heel manager have both been hospitalized. One probably in a shoot way and one in a working way, and left laying by another heel and her manager. Fucking Jesus Christ. But I must admit, I figured poor Vicky might get hurt. I didn't dream it would be Reba and that she would do it on her own. I thought Nyla Rose might land on somebody.
I hate to say it, but I thought something would happen with Rebel, just because in my head I always think about that match with her against Shelly Martinez in Impact, which was like the worst match of all time.
But she just got off crutches.
I understand. You know what? A little while back, I forget what show, we were having a discussion about, it was about Bianca Belair. And I'm not making this about her, but just about the size of women in wrestling. And you and I talking about different women. And I said there are certain women that are frail that maybe shouldn't be in the ring. And I'm not saying she shouldn't be in the ring.
Reba doesn't look frail.
I'm not talking about Reba. And hopefully she came out of this completely okay, but I get worried every time I see Britt Baker that she's going to get seriously hurt. We've seen her get hurt.
Yeah.
But, that Nyla Rose
she doesn't have a lot of meat on her bones.
I thought the Nyla knee drop really hurt her bad. And then she got up, I was like, okay, wow, she worked me. She's good. I'm sure she'll be sore in the morning, but she's good, all things considered. And then the fucking powerbomb through the table and the way she hit and the way she was selling it. I don't know. A lot of the shit's completely unnecessary, too. The match was unnecessary.
And here's another thing.
And everyone knew what this match was and was going to be before it took place. Nobody had any misconceptions about what this match was.
It was not possible for this to be a good match, but at least it could have been a safer match. And again, Reba did it to herself, but she dislocates her kneecap just making a save, and they still go through with, let's powerbomb this 125-pound woman from 6 feet above the concrete through a table to the floor. Fuck. And not even taking into account her physical well-being, just taking into account how much worse can you make the wrestling business look and how much harder can you make it on the people involved in it. That 120-pound girl gets power bombed from that height through a table to the floor. What are you going to do to a grown man? Run over him with a fucking Brinks truck. One of those trucks that brings and collects the money from the ATMs. They need to get hit with that for it to be the same thing. So some idiot will go out and get a Brinks truck and run over somebody with it because you got to always top everything. It's fucking ridiculous. If Britt Baker is not in the hospital in traction for 6 to 8 weeks and reported as so every week on their television program, then they just made that fake. Because I'm sorry, she's a fucking girl. She's a fucking girl, and somebody's got to have some fucking context, some fucking restraint, and a little goddamn level-headed logic. If you do that to a fucking girl and she lives, then what are you going to do to a 6'6", 250-pound man if you could ever find one in the land of Lilliput here and these lollipop guild motherfuckers? Go ahead. Getting hot.
I don't even remember what I was going to jump in and say there. There was something you said that triggered a thought in my head, and...
You were triggered.
I was triggered for a moment there.
A girl, a power bomb. What else you going to have to do? It makes it phony. It makes it harder on everybody.
Oh, I was going to say, the only person that's taken that move and really been hurt has been Shaq.
Yeah.
When you brought up the move, I'm thinking Britt Baker, she's laid up. She'll be all right. She'll be back next week. Shaq's the only one that got hurt so badly, he vanished.
The power bomb is only effective on people that are over 7 feet tall and over 350 pounds. All right, and we got to the main event now here, Brian. And I've got to be honest with you, I was looking forward to this. Besides the fact that how long has it been since MJF has even wrestled on television? The blood and guts thing was the last time he wrestled, when Jericho took his phony bump that he's so fucking concerned over and so, mad that everybody saw his crash pad.
I don't have it in front of me, and I wish I did, but someone had either tweeted or messaged me. They probably did to you too. I want to say that MJF had one singles match in 2021 on TV.
That sounds about right. Well, now he's had 2. And Sammy Guevara, we talked about what a heel Sammy is with that slappable face. He looks like he's 12, but he works like a heel when he's a heel, and he has the squeaky voice like a heel, and he's got the slappable face. And as I mentioned, he looks like he's 12 years old. As a baby face, I know he's got a lot of fire and a lot of ability. And, I guess that's the way that this has taken him in, but he sure would have been a lot more effective and gotten over stronger if they'd have kept him a heel and kept him away from, everybody in that whole group is in Jericho's shadow, which is obviously because that shadow is so big. I mean, when he goes to the beach, kids play in his shade. But, anyway, I would have liked to seen Sammy as a heel longer so he'd be over more and have something more instead of just being in the group feud here, is have something more personal. But this was a wrestling match. MJF started heeling and strutting and bailing on Sammy. And Sammy started trying to do the flippy stuff, but MJF shut him down one time with a throat chop. They did wrestling spots. They did double bridges, backslides, small packages. They went to a stalemate and made mean faces at each other. This was a fucking wrestling match. I wrote MJF is actually healing. You can tell which one the heel is. Stopped Sammy on the apron and shot him into the barricade, that nice little upside down thing. They went to break. They came back on a hold. I've mentioned this before, but since they're listening now, they didn't used to listen to me. Since they're listening now, guys, it's very simple. Never come back from a commercial break in a fucking hold. Nobody's moving. There's no excitement. The people aren't reacting. The people at home who are watching the show, they got left with the break spot, which was supposed to be exciting. But now they come back and somebody's sitting in a chin lock. Create some more urgency. Make it more exciting. Always have guys come back in a spot. And it's very simple. I used to do it in Ring of Honor. If they could do it with the skeleton crew we had, anybody can. 10 seconds before you're ready to come back, cue the referee on the IFB. Tell him start running. Get in a spot. We're coming back. And they get up, and automatically out of the chin lock, there's a couple of elbows to the gut, and then the guy takes off running. Now you come back up. Now you're calling the spot. Brian Last ducks under Cornette's clothesline, comes off the far side, crossbody. Cornette catches him. Big sack of shit slam. We're back on fucking whatever kind of wrestling and now it's more exciting on the other side. They should always be in motion when you come back from a break instead of in a hold. Anyway, MJF is still getting the heat on old Sammy Guevara, trapped him in the ring skirt deal. And then finally, they went back and forth a little bit. MJF countered a springboard for a nice 2 count. They did that Spanish fly thing, off the ropes. They took too long to set up and was too obvious. That's all the guys that want to fight on the ropes and set up these stupid, complicated things. If you can't do it without obvious cooperation, just don't do it. Just don't do it. Because nobody was going to know you were going to do it anyway. And it just takes your match down when you show obvious cooperation after you're supposed to hate each other all this time. They were having a good fucking match. Sammy made another big comeback, hit that fucking dive. He had to do it, but at least he saved it till the end. And then the Canadian Destroyer for a 2 count, which is another ludicrous move, but MJF sells it so well. MJF is great at waiting around for all the goofy shit without being so obnoxiously obvious, right? So apparent. He staggers, he stumbles, he goes to a knee, he's not looking, he's not just like all these guys that just stand around and wait for this stupid idiot to dive off the top rope and they're staring at him for 10 seconds and then they catch him and act surprised, right? He puts himself in place without being so obvious. And MJF got a chair. He was going to come in, but Sammy drop kicked it right into his face. And at this point, I wrote, and this will come back to haunt me, this is one of the best matches I've seen on AEW TV. Did you feel that way when they were really getting into a stretch there?
I didn't.
You didn't?
I'll save my thoughts for the end, though.
All right, well, then save it for the end. I will say one of the better, at least one of the best singles matches I've seen, because it was 2 guys. You knew who the heel was. You knew who the babyface was. And except for a little bit of Sammy's acrobatics, it wasn't too much until. Did you see the over of Sammy off the top over the rail cannonball?
Of course.
That's when I got mad. Because that was one of the stupidest things I've ever seen done. Not only to risk for a spot that nobody's going to remember tomorrow. It's not Mick Foley going off the Hell in a Cell, because it's not Mick Foley and The Undertaker. It's not a hot company with a big viewership. It's going to be played over and over, millions of people every week. It's a fucking Wednesday night show that's going to draw about 800,000 people. MJF shouldn't have stood there for it because Sammy came like a cannonball, but Sammy could have fucking broke anything. He not only off the top rope, over the guardrail, but into the people. And these are not the paid job guy fans now. These are actual real fans now, correct? They're letting back in the building.
I believe so. I mean, some of the recent shows have had some of the students or whoever at ringside, but I didn't see this week.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of fucking Ned-looking motherfuckers with their cell phones trying to take a picture of this shit, and they didn't look like the paid fans. Even though sometimes you can't tell the AEW talent roster from the fans. But in the fans, somebody could have caught a foot or an elbow or a knee at that velocity and caved their face in, knocked their teeth out, landed on somebody's leg, broke an ankle, whatever. They didn't have that much room, even though the people are all smart, so of course they parted because they knew what was coming. They were out there amongst chairs and fans. Here's a little fucking I've always said this at any wrestling promotion I've ever worked, OVW, Ring of Honor, TNA, anywhere you had these young guys that thought they should do this shit. I got news for you guys. As soon as you get a lawsuit from one of these fans who's all fun and games, and boy, I love it when they get their sweat and blood on me until I get hurt and I realize this is national television and the company is owned by a billionaire, and then they find an attorney. I don't even need to call Stephen P. New right now to say that if the judge hears, okay, you were injured by a wrestler, and the self-same wrestler that you were injured by came over the guardrail into the audience area of the arena, case closed. Guilty, pay up. That's it. That's exactly what is going to happen. The first time that one of these fucking fans gets hurt and they realize how much money is behind this thing and they get a lawyer that's worth anything at all. It doesn't even have to be Stephen P. New, just any klutzy lawyer. If the fan came over the rail and got landed on in the process of trying to attack the wrestler, there's still times that juries would award damages, but that throws things into question. But if the wrestler went over the guardrail and into the audience area, you just lost your fucking case, you fucking idiots. And I don't think any of these guys have that much money, but Tony Khan does. Anyway, that's why that's stupid. Not only because they could have got hurt, but also they could have shut the company down. Anyway, so he rolls MJF back in. He goes up on top, but MJF crotches him on the top rope, goes up, picks Sammy up, upside down, and gives him a tombstone piledriver off the middle turnbuckle. Not just a tombstone piledriver off the middle turnbuckle, but into the middle of the ring, and probably the best looking one I've ever seen, and covered him for a 2 count.
Right there. Right there, I was like, what an amazing finish. Oh,
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because MJF was winning the fucking thing anyway. And holy shit. Maybe they'll do an injury angle with Sammy. 1, 2, kick. Now then, both of them started selling it like death after the kick out. So that's when I did this. I threw my pen down. I closed up my pad. I said, they have now officially not only turned me off of MJF, but made me quit watching what I considered up to this point one of the better matches I had seen on this crummy, phony, silly, stupid television program. And I was done. I have a question to ask you, and that is, because I see there was 10 minutes left on the air when that happened, and they started selling, and all of their momentum fell apart, and the great match they were having had already come to an end, so I quit caring. Was MJF still limping? And was Sammy's neck still broken by the time they ever actually got to the fucking finish?
Yeah, no, a lot of things. I mean, it was incredible. Sammy kicked out of a Tiger Driver off the roof of the building. And then it was just incredible. They went on.
That's how I missed the fucking Jim Ross's comment at first. I'd heard about it, and I went back to look for it, and my DVR cut it off anyway. But after, how did they go another 10 minutes?
They didn't go another 10 minutes. They went another 4.5, 5 minutes, and then there was a video package to celebrate the little over a year they've been in Jacksonville, because they're ending their run in Jacksonville, so it's a tribute to all the moments of Dynamite in Jacksonville.
But what you're telling me is after the guy took a tombstone piledriver off the second turnbuckle into the middle of the ring, he got up and continued on. And for about another 5 minutes. And then I know MJF won it because I read the results. But how did he win it? What, a bazooka? A hand grenade?
I don't even remember what the finishing was, but nothing like a tombstone piledriver off the rope to the middle of the fucking ring. You're right. It was the best one I've ever seen. I've never seen one look that fucking good. And it was a 2 count.
I was like, holy shit, will they drop the cow on this when they pulled out all the stops? 1, 2, kick, what? I mean, I would have been mad if they'd hit that finish and not taken Sammy off television for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks just to sell it. But for that to not be the finish, no, that it's... And now, and MJF's mind has apparently been poisoned. Why would he do that knowing the guy was going to kick out? Why would you do that to somebody knowing they were going to kick out of it? How much weaker could you possibly be made to look than you do that to a motherfucker and you can't beat him? You can't even hold him down for 2 seconds. Fucking hell.
What I was going to say before when you went to me, and it hit me when I saw the MJF promo earlier in the show. And you didn't ask me my thoughts after you reviewed that promo.
Apologize for
that. No. I'm glad I could do it here. I've kind of lost it for MJF. And it pains me to say that because he was one of the people I looked forward to the most.
Yeah.
And I thought of the most potential early on in AEW. And he's certainly a really talented guy. And look, I always root for another Jew from Nassau County. I always I look out for my people. But I don't take him seriously anymore. And I see there's an element of performance in everything, but I see what he's doing now as more performance than ever before based on the way he's been used.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
I used to really look forward to his stuff and want to see it, and there's a taint on it now, and I don't know, it hit me.
He has the hint of taint. He has the hint of taint upon him.
The taint of Jericho, maybe, but I don't know, but this was the night it really hit me that, I'm kind of over MJF.
Because it's always going to be the same thing. You're going to see him wrestle a match, cheat to win in some kind of way. He won't have another match for 3 months. He'll do a lot of promos, but nothing that he ever says comes true. As Butch Reed said, he's selling wolf tickets. He's crying wolf. The promo is great until you realize that the promo is great every time, but he never does anything that he says he's going to do. And if he does get heat, then by the next week, he's going to have his head flushed in the toilet. And so now we've unfortunately seen that he's ineffective in anything.
Yeah, and to go back to that Jacksonville video, they go to that, and they went to that first episode they did in Daly's place. Remember, the lights were out, and Cody was in the ring, and eventually Omega came out, and one of the Bucks to talk about... Cody says it. I mean, it's in the video, how important what they do is for people. That's why they're going to keep doing it. And I'm thinking when they're showing that, I'm thinking they're leaving out Cody saying, what we're doing is really important. We're going to keep doing it. And I'm going to work 1 out of the next 12 months. What I mean is these guys are going to work. I'm going home. What a non-entity. The show opens up with that video of all the stars of AEW. The first 2 out of the first 3 are Brandy and Cody. What? They're never here. But, no, I'm kind of past MJF, the Jericho Inner Circle. The stupid thing is...
I said it earlier in the show, if they had started 2 years ago and just given him win and promo and put some heat on him and built it, he would be one of the most talked about guys in the business because he was before he went there. Everybody was saying this guy's the future. And now we who have been genetically predisposed to like this guy can't even get any fucking relief.
I would have done something like Piper's Pit. And
yes.
A lot of people forget what Piper's Pit truly was because you watch a WWE interview show, these endless, awful, scripted, bad comedy segments, they go on and on and on.
The host is irrelevant.
Right.
It's just an excuse to get the other people out there to do their scripted material. Piper's Pit was a vehicle for Roddy Piper to verbally eviscerate and humiliate anybody that was put in front of him.
And how long did it go? What was the longest Piper's Pit? 2.5 minutes?
4 minutes, probably.
Yeah, you kept it short.
Except for the thing with Morton Downey Jr. that time that everybody in the office despised and were trying to get cut off when it was happening.
Yeah, that was awful. That's WrestleMania 5. That was his big return.
But that's because Piper couldn't control it because it was a guest celebrity. With the boys... He knew what he was doing, and he came out. It was a vehicle to get Roddy Piper over, not a talk show to get other people's angles over.
But I had high hopes for MJF, and look, he's still young, and we'll see. They all do stupid shit.
He's still young, but this company is aging people fast.
Yeah, we'll see how he recovers from it, but I've kind of I don't know. Not one of my favorites anymore. I've kind of lost it for him. And I said it last week. They're obviously aggressively trying to push Sammy as the breakout star of the Inner Circle now. I don't know if it's the time. We'll see. There's a lot of good young baby faces right now in AEW. They're not going to do more with Pillman Jr. probably, but I think they should find a way to put him on the road to that. Jungle Boy's obviously a young babyface getting a push. Darby's a young babyface getting a push. We'll see where Sammy falls into that mix there. Moxley hasn't been around it for a few weeks, but that could be paternity leave now that I think about it.
I thought you were going to say a paternity suit.
No.
He's trying to avoid being served.
It could be paternity leave. It could, I mean, legitimate.
Well, I'm sure it is. And I'll tell you what, hopefully he'll come back from the giving birth in better shape.
I'll just say, last week on the drive-thru, we reviewed the Saturday night AEW show, and I was pretty angry about it. I hated it. I didn't like watching it. And I expressed that, and a lot of people related, which was nice to see. I didn't watch this AEW show until this morning as we're recording. I couldn't bring myself to watch it.
I never do until 30 minutes before we record this show.
I always did. I always tried to watch as much of it live as I could. Sometimes I would have to run out. I would try to catch first 30 minutes, DVR the rest. But I always tried to catch it live, or at least watch it later that night before I went to bed or early the next morning. So I was up on everything that happened before clips started going around or I started checking in with social media. This was the first week I was just like, fuck it, I really just don't want to watch. And I waited until the very last minute. And I admit I do want to see AEW on the road in different places. I do want to see the reaction in different places and different things, but this show is really not. I don't enjoy really very much about this show at all. I'd be very okay if we stopped watching it.
Well, it's what we always wanted and what we were promised, a sports-based presentation of an alternative product to the silly cartoon world of the WWE. And I'm just waiting till they get all the trailers out of the way and finally give us the product that we were promised. No matter how long it takes. Anyway, speaking of getting on the road, I think that's something we should do.
Yes.
Yes, you are correct, sir. We've got all kinds of stuff. You are right, sir. You are correct, sir. Yes, sir. We've got all kinds of stuff to talk about again on the drive-thru coming up this coming Tuesday. And so any closing comments about anything else?
No, you are correct, sir. Sounded like Gordon Soley hosting a talk show.
You are correct,
a game show. Sir. You are correct. Next question.
Sir. Yes, sir. All righty then. In that case, for Brian, I am Jim. This has been The Experience. Hopefully you are now experienced, and we will see you again when we drive through you on the drive-thru. Until then, everybody, thank you, fuck you, and bye-bye.